Good morning and welcome to a rather solemn edition of the AM show this morning on Joy News. Around the world on myjoyonline.com, across Ghana's 16 regions, on Facebook, X Spaces and on YouTube, I'm Sweetie Abochi and I want to tell you what to expect this morning. Now, we know that government has declared a 3-day national mourning and flags are supposed to fly at half-mast in honor of 8 gallant men who fell yesterday. These men are Dr. Edward Omanibuama, the Minister for Defense, Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Minister for the Environment, Alhaji Muniru Mohammed, Acting Deputy National Security Coordinator, Dr. Samuel Sapong, Vice Chairman of the NDC, Mr. Samuel Abwaje, former parliamentary candidate, Squadron Leader Peter, Flying Officer Chum Ampedu, and Sergeant Ernest Ado. Now, these men fell yesterday and they lost their lives in the line of duty when their helicopter en route to Obuasi crashed at Sikaman in the Adansi Crash district of the Ashanti region. In a solemn and painful mood, the Chief of Staff has led a high-powered government delegation to receive the remains of all the 8 persons involved in this fatal crash that has set the nation in grief with memories that will linger for many years to come. This morning, we stand with all the families of the bereaved in these trying times, and we say never again. We continue with our coverage of all unfolding events on this day, a day after a national grief. Stay with me this morning on the AM show. But first, let's get into the AM news. This is the AM News. Details now. 3 days of national mourning begin today as government suspends all official activities for the rest of the week following the tragic military helicopter crash that claimed 8 lives. The victims, including 2 cabinet ministers, were en route to Obuasi for the launch of a major anti-illegal mining initiative when the aircraft went down. Plans to bury Muslim victims today have also been postponed pending full identification. Meanwhile, tributes continue to pour in from across the country and beyond. Let's tell you more in this report.
On that note, the Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program has been launched. Kabori.
Wednesday morning in Obuasi, and government is preparing to launch a major initiative against illegal mining, the Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skill Development Program. At the same time, a Ghana Armed Forces Z9 helicopter carrying top officials is en route to Obuasi. But just minutes away from the destination, the aircraft vanishes from radar. Hours later, it's confirmed the aircraft crashed in a dense forest near Sikaman in Adansi Crash. All 8 on board died. Victims are Dr. Edward Omanibuama, Minister for Defense, Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Minister for Environment, Deputy National Security Coordinator, Alhaji Muniru Mohammed, NDC Vice Chair, Dr. Samuel Sapong, former parliamentary candidate, Samuel Abwaje, pilot, Squadron Leader Peter Anala, co-pilot, Flying Officer Ampedu, and flight engineer, Sergeant Ernest Ado. President Mahama has ordered all national flags to fly at half-mast.
All flags are to fly at half-mast until further notice.
A 3-day national mourning starts Thursday with all government activities suspended. Vice President Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman and Education Minister Haruna Iddrisu led a delegation to break the news to the families.
On behalf of President Mahama, to convey to you the tragedy that has befell the country this morning. It's not an easy task.
Search team trekked over 2 hours through rugged forest to search the site. The bodies were charged.
I just saw some sacks pass by. Can you confirm to us these are the bodies or the charred remains of the 8 persons that you retrieved from the site?
Yes, indeed, I can confirm to you that what you saw a while ago in those sacks the remains of senior officers that were involved in the crash this morning.
Now, more tests must be done to identify the bodies.
We are taking them to the morgue for possibly a decision by the superior or decision makers. Ours is to evacuate the bodies from here to the morgue or probably the hospital where probably a postmortem and other examinations can be done to identify.
Contrary to Islamic custom, which requires same-day burial, the Northern Regional Minister Ali Adof says the remains of the Muslim victims will not be buried on Thursday. A new date will be communicated after identification is completed. Tributes are pouring in across the country. AU chairperson in a statement said, quote, "The AU stands in full solidarity with Ghana," end quote. German embassy said, quote, "We mourn 2 ministers we worked with trustfully," end quote. UN resident coordinator wrote, quote, "A national wound felt internationally," end quote. Canada, Nigeria, former President Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia all extending condolences and calling for healing. Parliament Minority Caucus says the nation deserves answers and is calling for full, transparent investigation. A GAF crash team is now retrieving the black box, a critical evidence to uncover what went wrong. Eight lives lost in service. A nation is in mourning. A mission to ensure this never happens again.
Medical officers are expected to, in the coming days, conduct a forensic examination on the remains of the helicopter crash victims. Defense Minister Dr. Peter Omane-Boamah, Environment Minister Murtala Mohammed, and 6 others were crashed to death whilst on their way to Obuasi for the launch of the Responsible Cooperative Mining Program. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku traversed the Dampier Range Forest Reserve, where the 8 individuals were killed, and captured the journey to retrieve the mortal remains of these victims in the following report.
By the emergency service providers with the support of national security, recovered charred remains of all 8 persons in the wreckage. But the journey to the scene did not come easy. The team trekked for hours, navigating the deep forest and meandering through the slippery and slender routes. So since morning that we have been under frantic efforts to retrieve the bodies of the ministers and also some delegation that were headed from Accra to Obuasi. It's taken us about an hour and we still haven't been able to reach to the scene where this particular incident happening. And in fact, the efforts by the Regional Security Council to actually retrieve these bodies, in fact, is one that is very tiring and Herculean. But we'll still try and manage and go and see for ourselves what really happened. Deep in the thick Dampier Range Forest Reserve, the helicopter bound for Obuasi reportedly crashed into one of the trees, killing all persons aboard. All 8 persons, including Defense and Environmental Ministers Dr. Omane-Boamah and Murtala Mohammed, were confirmed dead. Kojun Tiamwa is an eyewitness. Because the helicopter was closer to the ground, I looked at it cautiously. At a few seconds, I heard a loud noise and I reckoned it could be the helicopter. I rushed to the scene and called out for people to tend to the incident. After at least 2 hours of walking, the bodies were retrieved from the helicopter wreckage. We understand these are the charred remains of the 8 persons who were crashed in the helicopter scene. Deputy Regional Security Coordinator for the Ashanti region, Ivan Bilson-Asari, tells Joy News a forensic analysis is needed for easy identification of victims.
Ours is to evacuate the bodies from here to the morgue, or probably the hospital where probably a postmortem and other examinations can be done to identify. Because you were there, you also saw them; they were bent beyond recognition. So I think we have to employ scientific means to identify those bodies and see who is who before it can be released to the respective families.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Quico.
Ghana is fast emerging as Africa's digital trade powerhouse, fueled by a decade of bold investment in broadband infrastructure, national identification systems, and transformative e-platforms. At the launch of ICT Week, CEO of the National Information Technology Agency, Dr. Oliver Carl, said these efforts are positioning the country to lead the continent's digital revolution.
Ghana is well positioned to become the biggest digital training hub on the African continent, according to the National Information Technology Agency. The Director General, Dr. Oliver Carl, said various digital innovation and institutional frameworks such as broadband expansion, national identification systems, and other digital initiatives built over the last decade have strategically positioned Ghana to achieve this ambitious goal. He made this remark at the launch of the ICT Week.
Ghana recognizes this new reality, and over the past decade, we have made significant strides towards building the infrastructure, institutional frameworks, and digital literacy required to take advantage of these changes. We have invested in broadband expansion, e-government platforms, national identification systems, cybersecurity frameworks, and youth-oriented technology programs. Our vision is to see Ghana become Africa's leading digital trade hub, a regional center where ideas, technologies, services, and innovations converge and thrive. This year's ICT Week, therefore, serves both as a celebration of our achievements and as a clarion call for renewed commitment.
The Director of Technical Services, Dr. Solomon Richardson, back in this session, said plans are far advanced to onboard additional institutions onto the Ghana.gov platform.
Activity is already ongoing. If you look at Ghana.gov as it is, we think that it can be a better platform. We want it to be a one-stop service center. You see, as at now, we have a few government institutions that offer their services outside of that platform. But we don't want citizens to be now going around wondering where some services are. But if we have that one-stop service center, then that means that you know very well that once you are looking for any online service, so far as it is government, if you go to Ghana.gov, you should have it over there and not outside of that platform. So it's and then it will come with improved functionalities. It will come with more services than you have over there.
He called on the private sector, youth, innovators and development partners to actively engage and invest massively in the growth of the ICT sector.
I therefore use this occasion to call on the private sector to invest in scalable platforms, create value chains that include informal traders and SMEs, and embrace interoperable solutions that serve a pan-African market. We call on youth and innovators to be bold, to be curious, because you are the architects of our digital future.
With bold infrastructure, visionary leadership and a growing tech ecosystem, Ghana is not just embracing the digital future, but shaping it. As government agencies, private players and young innovators converge, the ambition to become Africa's digital trade hub is no longer just a dream. It's a data-driven reality in motion.
In other stories, the Asin South Cocoa Farmers Association is urging the government to honor its promise to purchase cocoa at the previous price from farmers to ensure fair compensation. Their call comes in response to a recent cocoa price increase announced by the Finance Minister. At a press conference in Asin Pharmacy, The association's General Secretary, gov't, criticized the new pricing structure, describing the adjustment as inadequate. He emphasized that farmers deserve more than unwarranted shifting figures and pressed the government to deliver on its earlier commitment. Abigail Isel in Nkrumah has more.
During the press conference, the General Secretary of Asin South Cocoa Farmers Association, gov't, pleaded with government to make adjustments to the new cocoa prices, describing the recent increments as unsatisfactory to cocoa farmers.
I want to say something more about the cocoa price that has come last 3 days. We plead to the government, the Minister of Finance, to make a change for us because the price is not satisfying the farmers at all. The cocoa new price, 128 cedi and some pesos, farmers are not happy with it. So we beg the government, we beg the financial minister as much as possible to do something about the new price. We don't have anything to say about cocoa business. The only word that we want to talk about is the new price that has come. Let us have an equal price with Africans so that farmers will be okay with a new price. That's what I want to say.
He also appealed to government to honor its promise of purchasing cocoa directly from the farmers.
They have been already promises. They will buy the cocoa from the farmers. Exactly 6,500. Yeah. But here is the case. Government is saying something different from his promise. So we are very, very disappointed in him. We are pleading the government to do something about the new price. Because Galamsey are destroying our land and so many environment things that support the farmers. So we will keep on begging the government to make changes about the price. Our problem is only the price, so that people don't go into Galamsey and destroy our land, especially the youth. We have to motivate them to adopt themselves in the cocoa farming business.
From Asin Framase, Abigail Isel in Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Now, Ghana is taking decisive steps to safeguard its health security. At the Ghana Vaccine Manufacturing Investment Forum held yesterday in Accra, President John Dramani Mahama and Health Minister Kwabena Mintah Kando reaffirmed the country's resolve to end its reliance on imported vaccines. The forum comes at a pivotal moment as Ghana prepares to transition from Gavi, the vaccine alliance that currently supports vaccination for more than half of the world's children against life-threatening diseases. Now, Maxwell Akroboto was at the forum and he filed this report.
It was a gathering of scientists, policymakers and development partners united by one urgent mission to ensure Ghana never again runs out of vaccines. The President of the Republic, John Mahama, reflected on past vaccine shortages as a stark warning and a catalyst for action. He underscored the vulnerabilities exposed by global supply chain breakdown, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic.
A few years ago, we ran out of vaccines because we couldn't pay for them. And as you are aware, in 2030, Ghana is going to transition from Gavi. And I believe that this forum could not have been more timely because it makes us able to prepare so that by the time we transition from Gavi's support, we would have a robust vaccine manufacturing capacity that will lay the foundation for us to be self-reliant in vaccine supply. The events of the last few years, and like the Minister of Agribusiness just said, maybe it's a bit hackneyed, COVID-19 pandemic, the global supply chain disruptions reaffirmed the truth that we need to establish our own vaccine manufacturing capacity. Despite housing a sixth of the world's population, Africa received less than 1% of global vaccine production during the crisis.
In line with this, the president also said government has committed an extra $50 million to boost investment in the vaccine sector.
To accelerate this agenda, the government of Ghana is committing an additional $50 million. And so this will raise the total to $75 million. They already were given $25 million, so we'll raise the seed capital to $75 million.
The health minister declared a turning point in Ghana's public health posture. He says Ghana will no longer beg for vaccines. The nation will rather make them.
The world has changed, and Ghana is changing with it. The old assumption no longer hold. That access to vaccines is automatic, that global systems will function fairly in crisis, and that Africa can depend on the benevolence of others. We have lived through the consequences of that thinking. We will not relive them. Our position is straightforward. Ghana will not beg for vaccines. Ghana will make them.
Ghana's partnership with gov't has saved countless lives over the years. But with that support set to wind down, the message from today's forum is clear. The country must be ready to stand on its own.
Let's get into some business stories now, starting with inflation rates for the month of July has slowed marginally to hit new record levels. Data released by the Ghana Statistical Service in Accra yesterday showed that it dropped from 13.7% in June to 12.1% for last month. Here's more.
According to the data released by the Ghana Statistical Service, the decline was influenced by significant slowdown in the general price levels of foodstuff and other items. Government statistician Dr. Hassan Idrisu noted that the development shows that the pressures driving inflation over the past month are declining.
The July inflation, as we have announced, is 12.1%. And this is a reduction by 1.6 percentage points from the June inflation of 13.7%. And the main factors accounting for this decline is coming from the various components. For example, if you take food inflation, for example, we are looking at food inflation actually reducing by 1.2 percentage points, right? And then if you look at locally produced items, its inflation is also reduced by 1.1 percentage points. If you look at month-on-month basis, however, we saw inflation picked up by 0.7%. So what this means is that between June and July, inflation is inched up a bit. So the general price level for goods and services increased by 0.7% between June and July, meaning that we need to watch these short-term pressures.
Food inflation declined by 1.2 percentage points to 15.1% in July 2025, and price of food items increased by 0.6% between June and July 2025. Also, non-food inflation dropped by 1.9 percentage points to 9.5%, but price level of non-food items increased by 0.7% between June and July. The Upper West region continued to register the highest inflation at a striking 24.8%, whilst the Central region recorded the lowest inflation at 7.7%.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, has confirmed a reduction in the reference rate following the Bank of Ghana's decision to cut the policy rate to 25%. According to him, this act signals potential relief for borrowers and businesses.
The last time I granted interview on your network, I had said that in line with the reduction in the policy rate, lending rate was very likely going to also come down, given the positive correlation between the movement on the policy rate and the Ghana reference rate. So as I speak with you, this morning we have published a new Ghana reference rate, which has now declined from 23.69 to 19.67. That is a steep decline, given that it has almost taken the full load of the 300 basis points that we had on the policy rate. So if you have a facility which is linked to the reference rate, which I guess most of the facilities we have in the system are, then you should see that quantum reduction on your lending rate if you get your next statement.
So that does it for the business update and the AM News Bulletin on the AM Show. Stay with me. When we return from the break, we'll bring you more on the show.
Who's leading this high-powered delegation from the Jubilee House, from the presidency, will receive these bodies. We understand the hearses are all ready and primed to take these bodies.
Once the aircraft is open,
specifics of some hospital in Accra will kept in a morgue and other things to happen. Let me listen to this announcement.
The burial parties moving in to pick up the caskets and move them onto the cataflags that have been laid or been set. When we have all the cataflags set with all the caskets on them, then we will hand over to the clergy for prayers to be said for our beloved departed. Thereafter, we will then move the caskets into the hearse for onward movement to the morgue.
The tail of the flight is now opening, and any moment from now,
we now have the tail of the aircraft being opened.
Persons will be brought out here at the Air Force
Base, all is set,
where it's a really solemn, somber mood. Here, the bodies will be out any moment from now. And see in your slide, on your screens, Dr. Eduardo Manebwama, Dr. Mutala Mohammed, and a number of the very key distinguished Ghanaians who tragically lost their lives in this tragic accident will now be brought out.
First burial party, please move now.
The first casket has just been seen at the tail of the flag.
First burial party is now marching
in Ghana, and the Ghana flag, red, gold, green. Of course, these were gentlemen who were all on national assignment, who were not on some frolic of their own. They were on a national assignment to the Obuasi, where the government was launching an event, and that is where this was happening. And any moment from now, these caskets will all make their way to the tables.
When the casket is moving towards the cataflag and it passes in front of you, I'll request that all military personnel will pay the appropriate compliments as they pass by to the cataflag. The firing party is now ready. Firing party. A request for us to pay the appropriate compliments as the casket moves into position. Second cataflag will now commence movement to the aircraft. Second bearer party will now commence movement to the aircraft.
Very, very sad. Very, very sad. Very sad.
There's a lot of tears among some members of the Ghana Armed Forces who are here. Of course, some of these pilots and flight crew were their colleagues. They operated together from this Air Force base every day, operating and performing their responsibilities as members of the Ghana Armed Forces. And today, some of their colleagues went out there this morning and have not returned. A very tragic accident. And so just in front of me, I see two members of the Ghana Armed Forces in an embrace, really in tears about this very tragic accident that has claimed the life of 8 people, 5 government officials and 3 members of the Ghana Armed Forces and the crew that were carrying them to this national assignment and duty tour
the
of
second
the Ashanti region.
Casket has been received by the second bearer party, and they will be now moving to the second cutter flag. The third bearer party is now moving to the aircraft to receive the third casket. Let's pay the appropriate compliments as the third casket moves to the cutter flag.
All 8 caskets will make their way to the cutter flag as you hear the announcement on the PA system, and 3 of them are currently out of the flight. The remaining 5 will also be taken out in the same fashion. The Ghana Armed Forces men and women who are on this ground have prepared for this. When we came here, there were a couple of rehearsals ongoing, and so the burial parties march the flight. They take the caskets and they move it to the cutter flag, and then once it is lowered down to the cutter flag, they make their way back to the flight to pick the next casket. And so they are going to do this in turn until all 8 caskets, signifying and representing all 8 people, all 8 persons who tragically passed away in this helicopter crash in the Adansi area in the Ashanti region, are all moved. And when they do, there are clergymen and women here, as well as imams, who are representing the religious backgrounds
is now
of
ready
the
to receive
persons who have
the
tragically
fourth
passed.
casket.
There will be short prayers on them before this ceremony, very brief ceremony to receive the bodies of these persons will be brought to an end.
And the fourth casket is now being moved to be placed on the fourth catafalque. The fifth burial party is now moving to receive the fifth casket. Let's pay the appropriate compliments as the fifth casket is moved to the fifth catafalque. We now have the sixth burial party moving to receive the sixth casket. Request that all those who are standing behind the catafalques should move to enable the ceremony to go on smoothly. The seventh bearer party, the seat bearer party, is now moving with the casket to the sixth cataflag. Let's pay the appropriate compliments as they pass by. We now have the seventh bearer party moving to the tail of the aircraft for the seventh caskets. After all the caskets have been retrieved from the aircraft, we will hand over to the clergy to commence the religious aspects of this brief ceremony, where they will be saying prayers before movement of the bodies or the caskets to the morgue. We are all aware of this unfortunate incident. We have the seventh bearer party moving with the casket to the seventh cataflag. The eighth bearer party is now moving to also pick up the eighth and final casket to be placed on the eighth cataflag. We now have the eighth and last casket being moved from the aircraft to the eighth cataflag.
So all 8 persons whose bodies have been brought from the Ashanti region have all now been taken out of the flight.
Let's
and
pay the appropriate compliments as the casket passes by.
The next order of business will be for this ceremony to be handed over to the clergy, the religious leaders who are here to take the ceremony to the next level. We understand there will be brief prayers that will be said on the bodies of these 8 persons, and then the bodies in these caskets will all then be taken into the hearse, and then they will all be driven to a morgue.
After the 8th casket is placed on the cattle flag, the firing party will move to allow for the clergy to commence the next phase of today's brief ceremony.
Could you have been watching this unfold? Okay, we can go back now live, yes.
To pardon them, to make the heaven their final abode. اللهم اغفر لجميع موتى المسلمين الذين شهدوا لك بالوحدانية ولنبيك بالرسالة وماتوا على ذلك. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم واعفهم واعف عنهم واكرم نزلهم ووسع مدخلهم ونكهم من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الابيض من الدنس. اللهم ان كانوا محسنين فزد بإحسانهم وان كانوا مسيئين فتجاوز عن سيئاتهم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن لله ما أخذ وله لا إليه راجعون. إنا لله وإنا إليه. واغفر لعبادك المسلمين وعافهم واعف عنهم ووسع مدخلهم واغسلهم بالماء والثلج والبرد ونقهم من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس وأدخلهم الجنة مع الأبرار الصالحين. محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
That rest eternal you grant, whose mortal remains we have received. Receive the Father, grant comfort to a grieving nation, grant comfort to grieving families, grant comfort to grieving friends. Help us to lift our eyes unto you. And our King, in Jesus Christ our Lord. We continue praying in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Our help is in the name of the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. Gracious and merciful God, tonight, with a heavy heart as a nation, we approach your divine presence as we stand before the mortal remains of our government officials and our serving personnel. We thank you for, Lord, in our sorrow today, we have indeed been overwhelmed by the tragic death and loss of our dear ones. The tragic death and loss that we have experienced today as a nation. Father, grant us the strength to bear this heavy burden. Give us the grace to overcome this challenge. Father, we pray that you will console all of us as a nation in this moment of grief. Particularly, we pray for all the bereaved families, that you console all of them. Gracious Lord, into your hands we commit their soul. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let your perpetual light shine upon them forever. We ask this through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, the clergy. We will now move the caskets into the various hearses, starting from the first four on the right. I'll request the hearse to be opened for the commencement of this phase of today's ceremony. The first four catapult, the first four bearer parties to please move to the first four.
Welcome back to the AM show. We continue our coverage today in honor of the 8 men who fell yesterday. And of course, as reactions and messages are coming in, we will bring you up to speed in terms of who is saying what. Before I introduce my guest to you this morning, I want us to take a time, spend some time and understand how bad the situation is. But before the Environment Minister, Alhaji Ibrahim Muntala Mohammed assumed office as the Minister for the Environment, he first decided to pass by here, Joy News, the AM show. I want to bring back that conversation and before we continue with our conversations in the studio. Let's take a listen to that interview.
Mohammed. Comrade, okay. How are you, sir?
I'm okay.
Nice to have you in our studio.
Nice to be here.
First off, you've been to the ministry when you went there?
No, I'm actually starting work today.
Oh, okay.
What I did was, I didn't want to go to the ministry
Okay.
when I was not properly the minister.
Okay.
I was nominated, but I had some engagement with the chief director and the directors, and subsequently I had some engagement with heads of various agencies under the ministry. And I remember the chief director wanted me to have, same engagement at the ministry, and I said no. So I had those engagements in Parliament. Barless we were sworn in on Friday, and I shall be starting my official duty this morning.
It's great that you're starting your first day with us.
Yes,
I join you.
So when I spoke with Kinsley, I said, I have to start my official duties today. But I did also say that, okay, I would honor you that opportunity. I mean, it's important for Ghanaians to know what the vision of the appointing authority is. In this case, His Excellency President Mahama.
Yeah.
And what my vision may be, but my vision is subservient to the vision of His Excellency the President. Of course, whatever we all need to do together, including you, the media, to be able to achieve the vision and the policy agenda of His Excellency the President in the matter of environment. And it is true that it's a topical issue.
Yeah.
And it's something that we all...
Yeah, so let's start there. Let's start the ball rolling. I want to understand or hear from you your understanding of the scope of work of this ministry, because it's the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. Often people seem to leave out the part that there's science and technology integrated in there. What is your understanding of the scope of work that this ministry is supposed to be doing?
First and foremost, it is, let me say good morning to your cherished viewers and of course and yourself, beautiful self, handsome self, and good morning to the good people of Tamale Central. First and foremost, it is one of the ministry, if not the only ministry, where you engage people who are experts and scientists. I do understand that almost all the agencies, what they do is purely science. And I remember when I had the engagement with the various agencies, and we're asked to do self-introduction. Anybody who introduced himself will say, Professor this, Professor this. So at the point, I was referring to everybody as Professor.
Right.
And I remember one of the agencies, I referred to the gentleman as Professor, and he says, no, I'm not a professor. And I said, I thought everybody here is a professor. So I understand that I'm coming to be working with scientists and profoundly technical people. And I told them, and I would reiterate same, I won't be an Inselberg on the way of them. I would allow them to have the free hands to do that which they were trained to do. As long as whatever they do is in line with the vision of His Excellency the President, the policy position of the government. So that is the first statement I will make on this matter. It's purely scientific ministry, where you have an interface between, academia and industry and politics. So you have these three, blend together. So that is the understanding I have. And if you look at the agencies that are one, and it's true that it's like the focus is always on the environment, excluding the science and technology aspect. If you listen to the president when we're sworn in, he said, Dr. Mutala, you have an enviable, tax or responsibility. I mean, everybody would not want to be given such a huge responsibility, taking into consideration, it's not just a national, a global cry for us to protect our environment, even though there are some presidents who are climatic, pessimists. They don't believe that climate change is something that is affecting us. So I do understand. So the environment is an aspect of it. The science and technology, for me, which is very critical, if you want to propel our economic growth and development, we need to focus on that. And the STEM, if you listen to my vetting, the STEM education is something that I want to look at seriously, to see how we can incorporate STEM education at all levels of education. It seems to me that except those who are in that STEM program, we need to have the education of science, technology, and engineering at all levels. You don't necessarily need to be a science student to have some understanding of science, technology, and engineering.
So there you have it, the very first interview before he took office as the Minister for the Environment. This is the News Review segment, and I have my guest in studio with me this morning. I have Dr. Joshua Zato. He's a political scientist and policy analyst. We also have Hamza Suini. He's a legal practitioner, and coming from the camp of the NDC. And Anayal Sapong is a political analyst from the Movement for Change. Gentlemen, it's a rather solemn morning. Welcome to the News Review segment on the AM show.
Thank you for having us.
You know what? Let me set the pace for the conversation. Since the news broke yesterday, since I heard it, I've been reminded of a poem by this Ghanaian poet and medical doctor, R.E.G. Amato. And I just want to spend a minute and more like give this ode to our fallen soldiers. The title is The Way I Would Like to Go, and I'm reading the poem now. This is the way I would like to go, if you must know. I would like to go while still young, while the dew is wet on the grass. To perish in a great air crash with a silver plane burning bright, like a flashing star in the night. While the huge wreckage all ablaze shines brightly for my last embrace, I like to see the flames consume each nerve and bone and hair and nail till the dust not but ash remains. Or a stone swiftly sink unseen. But if I should hear someone wail because dust has gone back to dust, mad with fury, I shall return to smite the poor wretch on the head. So let me go when I am young, and the dew is still on the fen, with a silver plane burning bright, like a flashing star in the night. Mother, do not grieve when I am gone. This is my wish, I'd have it so. This mere burden of flesh was I, whom you loved and tended dearly. But you, my love, wherever you be, remember these warm lips of mine that poured their youthful passion out. I want to skip and end it by saying, by the red devouring flames wilt thou dust remain? Believe me, part of the eternal mind of God. This is the way I would like to go. A poem by Ghanaian poet and medical doctor Ariji Amato. May the souls of those who departed rest in peace. Gentlemen, this is what we are. And let me start with you, Hamza Suini. How did you even receive the news, and what state of mind were you in?
Good morning to you and my colleagues on the show and our charity viewers out there. First of all, I think that it is important for me to express my condolences to His Excellency the President and the good people of the Republic of Ghana. Like you rightly indicated, this is a national tragedy. And especially for those of us who have had that close working relationship with a number of them, it hits even harder. I was around Dakuman police station. I had gone to arrange a bail for a client. So I think I got there approximately around 1 something. And I was with a colleague of mine, a very good brother of mine, interestingly, who happens to be on the other side of the political divide, the NPP. So whilst I was engaging with the police officers, he drew my attention to a post he saw on Facebook about a possible crash involving some state officials. At that time, the news was scanty.
Yeah.
I lost my bearing because in truth, the whole day, which was quite unusual, I had not spoken with my own big brother. So quickly I came out and I placed a call to his office to be sure if he was in, like every family member would do. So when I got the information that he was in the office, so I just, and it was his PI I had called. So I knew they didn't have the information yet. So I just dropped that, told him, okay, I'll call back. But before I dropped that call, it just strangely occurred to me that Honorable Murtala would be on the flight. I just cannot explain that feeling up till date. Since the whole of last night, so quickly, I started making calls, trying to be sure. Yeah. And instantly I requested for a key to the washroom from one of the police officers in there. So they guided me through the place, but I started making calls. And I called someone who told me that this is what he was hearing too, and that he is possibly inside that flight. I went to our platform. There was no confirmation. So I had to call someone a bit higher who confirmed that this was the case. So quickly I made arrangements to leave the place, to head towards Honorable Murtala's house. And I think we even first had to go to the late Limona's house. Yeah. Then from there we proceeded to the Honorable Murtala Mohammed's house. Sweetie, I don't know how to say it, but for me, I was telling my wife last night, because I was on the phone with her throughout the night. 3 deaths had, I think, hit me this hard. First, my dad and my mom. I never thought that someone a bit distant death would hit me this hard, in all honesty. Because when I lost my mom, I said that was it. I was like, maybe apart from, God forbid, my wife and kids, I was like, I don't think that, and my immediate family members, I was like, I don't think that, I'm numb now. That's how I felt, especially after the passing of my mom.
I understand. For a while, I've been unable to cry too.
Yes.
Hear about someone passing.
Yeah, so I felt that was it. Nothing should be able to push me to that limit.
Yeah.
But it is difficult to explain that pain. It is in your heart, it is not moving. It is there. It is some darkness, like you feel it. You feel it in your chest. You feel that pain. If there is anybody in my entire political life who demonstrated a desire first to helping me, it was Honorable Murtala Mohammed. I remember when I came from London after my master's, I met him at Legon. That was when he was Deputy Information Minister. In fact, he had a problem even when I decided that I was after NUCS. When I became NUCS president and I said I was going for master's, he said, look, this is not the time for you to leave when your party is in power and blah, 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 blah. So I still went and came. When I came, I met him on Legon campus. And the first thing he said was, why are you hiding, Hamza? You have no idea what you have in you. Why are you running away from the media? Many of these guys who are speaking for the party, none of them are your colleagues. They are not your colleague when it comes to communication. I have engaged you severally. I know you. Step forward. And I'm not going to take any excuse. Tomorrow, a TV station will call you. You are going to start with TV Gold. Then TV Gold was running. And true to his word. And interestingly, whilst we were speaking, Osman Ayerga, who is now the National Youth Authority CEO, came and was like, and you too, Hamza handed over to you. You guys, why are you hiding?
Right. And
that was it. Placed me on TV and Osman. And that's how we started the communication.
And here you are now.
And so that genuineness, and he was such that if he had a problem with you, he wouldn't hide it. He would meet you on the way and say, oh, but you have done A, B, and C. And when you resolve it there, Honorable Murtala would move on as a true and devout Muslim as he was. And that was it. Unless, if you were still holding on to it, that was you.
Okay.
So for us, I think that I have lost a big brother, a mentor. I still remember our playful moments. Anytime we met, it was about teasing. You have done this, hey, your brother this, and we'll tease and laugh amongst ourselves. You tell me, it's like, you can't explain the feeling, but, sweetie, anyway. And Dr. Omane Boama, another beautiful brain. They were part of the very few who inspired us in the first place to be interested in running for NUCS president. A gentleman by all standards, meticulous in whatever task you gave him. That sense of comradeship around him when you are around him. The willingness to provide direction. That was him. An only child of the mother. And so we can all say we are hurt, but I think that we should remember the old woman in our prayers and pray and hope that she's able to carry through. And to all those we have lost, the likes of Dr. Limuna, a very close associate of His Excellency President Mahama, and same with Dr. Omane Boama and Murtala. In fact, you can arguably say that Dr. Limuna is a member of the Mahama family, because he's the anchor of the Mahama farms.
Okay. Hamza, I'll have to come back to you for another take on the matter. And let me go around now. Dr. Zato, thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners. Yesterday, around this time, I was on another radio station.
Yeah, you texted.
It's surreal. We were just about finishing.
Yes.
Murtala, one of us sent a message.
Yes.
Yes. And the host read it. He was making fun of me. He was calling me a comrade. That comrade, Dr. Zato, is refusing to see the thing and stuff like that. So there was a very small banter, but we were almost done. That was it. He sent, and it's characteristic of him. Whenever I'm on radio or someone on TV, he will send a message to the presenter making fun of me. Teasing me, just making fun. Hey, that was so nice of him. That is whom he is. We were mates in Legon. We graduated the same year. He was there, and even there he was at his political best. I think that was where he cut his political teeth. He knew me very well, and when he came out, remember he just graduated with a PhD from the Department of Political Science.
Yeah, in December.
So we knew each other. You know, so it's like you sit down there and you're asking yourself, this is somebody. I actually thought we were like age mates. It was this morning when I was coming, I was listening to the radio that I heard that he's about 51. I'm like, oh, okay. Then he was about 5-6 years older than me. That was what I thought, because I thought that we all, you know, that group of people who left the school and came back. So, for me, so yesterday, somebody sent me the video, actually say, hey, this was Dr. Murtala. Just send a message, and somebody was reading it. And it's now on social media, it's on Facebook. I'm like, see, it's something. So probably he was waiting for the flight, or he was on his way to the flight, whatever it is. That probably would have been one of his last engagement with the media before he went there. You know, my brother has said it best. I don't know what to add. The thing is this: they died serving their country. They are patriots. They died doing what they love, to serve. And they are patriots. They died trying to solve an existential problem. That is it. It's some way they died trying to tell us that this thing will kill us. That was what they were going there. There was a reason why they went there. They wanted to find a way to a difficult problem. They wanted to find a way to what we call a wicked problem. A problem that has been bedeviling us for long. They were trying to find a better solution, an alternative solution, a way to make us deal with it in a humane way, in a civilized way. They wanted to say, we should be able to find a solution. And he never did. And you see, this is the funny thing. Whenever I'm on, I'm always, let me say, harsh on his environment, because whenever I'm talking about Galamsey, it's little of him. And that is when he will always send a message to interact, which is kind of good of him, because he never got mad at me. He never called and say, hey, this no. He will always want to contribute. He always want to help me with the facts. He will always let me know that he's working so hard. And honorable, I've seen it. Like, you know, so you're telling me, you've laid your honor, your life for something that you were fighting on. And remember when I was just coming in the interview, I was talking about the fact that we need to use science, knowledge, empirical data to fight climate change and to fight these wars. The question I ask myself is, what can we do to honor their memories? One of the best things we can do is to continue the fight that we're going to fight and finish it and end this Galamsey thing. Then we can erect a monument in one of the places and said, here lies, or here were the fallen heroes who gave their lives in the ultimate fight against this Galamsey. Here lies the heroes who didn't rest, whose death sparked a national conscience, woke a nation up from slumber to realize that this is a serious existential threat and that we don't want and will never want their death to go to waste. Right. And if we do that, if we're able to get that kind of national monument, to say that they paid the ultimate price. You know, when you go to Washington, there's this cemetery where the Korean war. If we do something and they just name it, they paid the ultimate price. So nobody now has any excuse not to work towards doing this. That's one of the ways we can do to immortalize their memories, to let people, to let their children know. I'm sure they have young kids, right? Yeah, 4. Those kids will grow up one day, and if they see this one, they'll be like, yes, my father fought for this, my father died because of this, that this is a memoriam. As a country, there's nothing better we can do to honor this. And look, I remember when 2003, when I was the poster president at the University of Ghana, Legon, we organized a program, military-civilian relationships in the post. Remember, Kufuor had just come, Rawlings had just left, the military and that had left. And we invited him. He came as the NUC's president then. That was the first time I saw him. And the last time I met him again was some few weeks ago in Koforidua. We had gone for a training program, and I think he had gone for a program with Pojos or something like that. It was attending at the Eastern Premier Hotel. Then we met at the breakfast there. You see me, and when we came there, he basically spent all his time with people you would say are in opposition party members, chatting, laughing, and this, and that was why I just saw him. We don't know each other, but I knew he was the one. We just greeted and stuff like that. Nice guy, nice man, and I see him holding his crucifix on the front of the center. He was a good Catholic, and we pray that may the good Lord have mercy on their souls, may He forgive them their sins, and may He welcome them into eternal kingdom. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you too. And I also,
Sweetie, it's It was quite, I don't know if the word is right, but it was devastating to have had, you know. And I just want to quote a few verses in the Bible. Revelations 21:4 says that, "Then God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither will there be any more pain. For the former things are passed away." Interestingly, you know, it's quite it was heartbreaking, and this personal, but I was supposed to have a meeting with him, and I called his PA, Abdullah.
Yes.
Yesterday, I called Abdullah around 12 midday. Then he was like, "Your brother is going to Obuasi. So when he is back, if we are not able to do it this evening, let's do it first thing in the morning." That is today, Thursday. And, you know, Mutala was Tamale Central MP. Me, I was born in Tamale Central. I started Tamale Central, yes. I mean, my house was very close to Bipena's palace, you know. And myself and Mutala, anytime we are done on a panel discussion, that ends the speaking of English. He speaks Dagbani with me. When I call him on phone and he picks up, he doesn't speak English to me. He goes straight to speak Dagbani. And, sweetie, surprisingly, I was at the offices of the EPA yesterday. When the news broke. And the officers had not even heard it. It was my wife that called me. And I used a phrase on air and I cut the line. Because, you see, it's a stone throw from EPA to environment.
Yeah.
And so if such a news has come, definitely the officers would have heard it. Only for me to step out of EPA after 2 minutes. Then I started getting calls. So I walked straight to Environment Ministry. They had not also heard it. But Abdullah was refusing to pick his calls. Then it dawned on me. I saw a few of our guys from Tamale. We all stood in front of Environment. Nobody could confirm. But one of them, I've forgotten his name, he's very close to Mutala. He drove in and Alaji was tearing. I couldn't look at him. I had to turn back, got into my car. For over an hour, I was seated in my car. You know, he's such a fine gentleman. And anybody who has had an interaction with him would agree that even in his, for lack of a better expression, in his aggressive presentation mood, he would smile. And he would always want to pass this funny, you know, joke in between his presentations. And people can always see it on the floor of Parliament and other places. He was a fine brain, an excellent brain. My last discussion with him was on the WACA program, the West African coastal areas. And you could see the kind of mind, the kind of thoughts that he had for Ghana, he had for the environment, and his zeal to ending some of these environmental issues that we had. I wish the family well, the wife and the children. And Dr. Omani Buama, getting close to him was during these elections when I was put on the IPAC, and it was him, Dr. Tabuating, and then Tanko Computer, who used to come to represent the NDC. And that was how we got close. And the last time I saw him was, I think, 2 weeks ago or so. There was a symposium at the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, where he and His Excellency Ibn Chambers and His Excellency Obasanjo were all present with all of these security analysts and experts. And during a cause 2 weeks program also at the same place, just that ended I think last week. He was there to have a program, then he had a presentation, he met the press, and the normal of him, after the press, he was just meeting a lot of people. Right. That was a very fine soul and a very fine gentleman. But as Zato has said, they died in service to Ghana. The reason they were on that chopper, the helicopter, was because of the fight against Galamsey. And so I sat here many weeks back, and I said that the issue of Galamsey moves beyond ecocide, and that we should see it as part of genocide because it is killing people. Okay. If not for the Galamsey, they wouldn't have been on that helicopter. And the people who are fueling the activities of Galamseyers should be ashamed of themselves, and they should be bowing their heads, not as citizens, but as evildoers against this country. Right.
Thank you, Nana Sapong, Dr. Zato, and Hamza. So there are a number of statements pouring in that I want to bring your attention to. I want to start from the Ghana Armed Forces. And mind you, all the newspapers we have this morning are carrying the story. The Daily Graphic says, tragedy strikes nation. 2 ministers, 6 others perish in helicopter crash. President declares 3 days national mourning starting today, which is why, well, as you can see, we're all in black. But the statement from the Ghana Armed Forces is the first statement that I want to bring to your attention now. And it says that bodies of armed forces, Z9 helicopter crash victims brought to Accra. And I believe we'll put that statement on your screens in a bit so you can read along. The Ghana Armed Forces wishes to inform the general public that the bodies of the Z9 helicopter crash victims have been brought to Accra on board the Ghana Air Force Casa aircraft today. That was yesterday, August 6th, 2025. And at the Air Force Base, Accra, to receive the bodies were government functionaries led by the Chief of Staff of the Presidency, Honorable Julius Debra, the Military High Command, and well-wishers. The bodies have since been deposited at the 37 Military Hospital in preparation for interment later. Now, all 8 bodies were recovered from the crash site in the general area of Sikaman near Adansi Crash in the Ashanti region. And finally, it says the Deputy Minister for Defense, Honorable Broja Jenfi, and the Military High Command extend their deepest condolences to the families in this difficult national tragedy. So this is a statement, I think the latest we have from the Ghana Armed Forces. Hamza, before I continue with the statement, I want to find out from you. I mean, you already explained to us how fond you were of some of the victims of that crash. You spoke about Muntala, you spoke about Dr. Manebwama. But what does this mean for you? I heard Dr. Zato talk about the only reason they are dead now today is because of the illegal mining fight. But you as an individual, as a member of the NDC, which means the ruling administration, what does this mean for you?
I agree with Dr. Zato and Swede. There's no better way to honor their memory than to step up efforts towards actually ending this menace. This death must signal our readiness to dam all the consequences and deal with those destroying our environment under the guise of mining.
Yeah.
Government must not take this death lightly. It must be a wake-up call for this government and future governments to declare actual war on Galamsey. There's no better way to honor their memory than to do that. The politics surrounding it must end. Irrespective of your stature in society, whoever in one way or the other is engaged in illegal mining must be dealt with mercilessly. We do not have that luxury of time now. We can't continue on this tangent. This is the time to deal with it decisively. And we must, in the collective, irrespective of our partisan affiliations, accept this challenge. If truly we are concerned about each other, if truly we are concerned about our environment, sweetie, this is the time for us to let people know that these men did not die in vain. Let us honor their memory by actually becoming successful in this fight. Let nobody stand on the way of the government. Anybody who stands on the way of the government must be dealt with.
Adansi, what does this look like? This war that you say we should wage on illegal mining, regardless of party coloration, what would that look like now? Considering everything that they've done so far, what does this look like?
It looks like even if we need to ban mining, even legal mining to sanitize the sector for a year, we need to do it as a republic. If we have to do it, then we must do it. Because we can't continue this way. We can't continue this way. And you see, sweetie, it also raises another issue of our transportation networks. Sadly. Not long ago, they were talking about the defense minister, may his soul rest in peace, was talking about the state of our fleet. We've played politics with this thing since 2015, remember? Even when the state was engaged in negotiations to acquire some issues of Airbus, stuff like that, stalled. The new government came, the usual politics continued, stalled. So, especially those of us at the helm of affairs, the time has come for us to put our partisanship at. If people are serving our country, we must do everything within our power to actually make it easier for them to carry these services. So we must stop the politics. If we need to acquire many of these things in the interest of the state, let us have a bipartisan approach to it and acquire them. But of utmost importance is investments on our road network and rail services. I'm told Kumasi to Obuasi is about 45 minutes. Is there no way we can stop the politics and actually look at investing on our transport infrastructure? This is a journey that we could have done through a train service. We will travel. We've been outside this country. We use the train services. Connecting towns. These are things we can begin to have a discussion on. How do we fix it beyond the partisanship? How do we come together as a nation to have these things fixed? It's important. Because today is ministers. Only God knows the number of our citizens who die on a daily basis because of the poor nature of our transport systems.
Right.
We need to have these difficult discussions now, sweetie. It is important for the sake of our nation. We cannot afford to continue to lose our people this way. And they themselves, may their souls rest in peace, I think that they would want that more than any other thing. For us to begin to look at the critical sectors. Because I'm sure that if we had a very reliable train network system, a very reliable road network system, they probably would have chosen those options. That is the situation we find ourselves. But you see, as Muslims, there's the tendency for us to say that, look, this is how God wants it. Even if you had a very reliable railway system and an accident was meant to happen, it should have happened. That is religion. Accepted. But it does not also mean that we should not put in investments where we need to put those investments. Okay. And for me, knowing the Honorable Murtala, sweetie, he would have been making these arguments on this platform. This was a man who was guided by principle and belief, conviction. Even if he had to express them in the midst of his colleagues, his own party people, that even made them uncomfortable, you know him. He would do it.
Yeah.
That's him. So this is a time for us to have this discussion. You see, the whole of yesterday, my interest in politics waned hugely. In all honesty, it waned hugely. And those of us who are entrusted with the responsibility to lead, this death must also be a reminder of the kind of legacies we would want to leave behind. And we must know that political office is not our personal property. We come and go.
Okay.
Today we are there, tomorrow we will go. So the question we should be asking ourselves, the nation will not forget their sacrifices. But those of us who are still alive, when we are dead and buried, what stories would we want the people of this country to say about us? Would it be a positive one or a negative one? Today, I'm seated here confidently. Honorable Murtala was not perfect because I was much closer to him than I was to any of the victims. I can tell you this. But it is even difficult to fault him, to even think of something negative that I can put on him since last night. And so the only thing I just said was, Inna illahi wa inna lillahi raji'un. To him we come from, the Most High, to him we go back to. And I am convinced, I was not at the scene of the crash as Muslims, I am convinced that the Honorable Murtala, a devout Muslim, would have undoubtedly, he would have done his shahada before going, knowing him and his devotion to Islamic principles. So, sweetie, we must step up the efforts on Galamsey. We must look at our transport system. If this fleet of vehicles needs to be changed, not even for the sake of the political class, but even for our armed servicemen who are sacrificing their lives on a daily basis in the service of this great country, because they use it most of the time than even the politicians do. We must begin having discussions to replace this fleet.
All right.
We must be talking about rail infrastructure expansion and investment. Okay. We must be talking about rehabilitating our roads. I am told, I can't remember the last time I used Accra Kumasi, but I'm told the manholes on that particular road network is clearly unacceptable. So it is not even safe for passenger travels. We must begin to have a look at those things. They would have wanted us to do so.
You raised very important, angles of the discussion. You're talking about transport, the state of our fleets. You're talking about the fight against illegal mining and the very interesting posturing. You just expatiated on that, even if it means halting mining, legal, illegal, for a whole year. We ought to do it. We should. This forces us to have the difficult conversations, but most importantly, take the difficult decisions. It's a good time to usher in Samuel Kojo Brace, my co-anchor. He joins us. Fantastic work yesterday, by the way. How are you doing?
I'm well, but sad.
Yeah.
Especially when I mean, when the incident happened, I remembered the interaction we had with Honorable Mutala on his first day at work.
Yeah,
and
we played that back.
I saw it this morning. I was like, and he came across as a very, very nice man from that interaction we had with him. So it was difficult coming to terms with what happened to this gentleman yesterday. But I'm glad that our brother is raising those critical points about transport. I'm particular about the transportation network. We spoke about railway, I think, was it last week?
Yes.
About how railway, if we are, we commit ourselves to the railway system or network, it could take away a lot of vehicles from our roads. Because I'm from the Western region. If there was a proper railway network linking Takoradi to Accra, we would live in Takoradi and work here. So I'm happy that he's bringing, and I hope that once he's in government, they'll be listening to him, and some thought could strike those at the helm to say, let's do it for the sake of these gallant 8 men who have gone. So Honorable, I hope that you take this up, let the government think about it, that for the sake of the death of these people, for the declaration of a ban on mining, I'm sure it could easily be done, not so.
It is
the issue of, is there a fiat or whatever, you're a lawyer, how do you call that? To say, let's suspend all mining. I mean, for this period, let's put our house in shape. We can only hope that after the mines have been suspended, we will not come back to the situation we found ourselves in.
I want to run some of the things Hamza said by you, Dr. Zato, in terms of the devastating nature of our railway systems, the state of our fleet, and that very interesting. I want to stay on that because I like it. I'm sold on that.
Yeah.
Halt mining for at least a year. How does that sit with you?
You know, do you remember 9/11?
Yeah.
You remember 9/11?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What it did was that it brought a country together, and it brought a world together. And the Americans said never again. That they would do any and everything to make sure that they never wake up to another 9/11. They did that. And whether you like Bush or not, he did it. He bombed the living hell out of Iraq, out of Afghanistan. He just went bonkers. Sorry. Yeah. So sorry for being, I want to tell you what they did. They said, look, never again. And never again means that you've got to go out there. He created the Department of Homeland Security. Security changes. Almost all of us at the airports were literally straight to be checked, everything. They said never again. They meant it. They meant it. Can we do that? Can we see this as there was something called rally around the flag. The Americans call it rally around the flag. Can this be our rally around the flag moment? Can this be our 9/11? Can this be our never again moment? Because if we do that, then we will say that these men did not die in vain. Then we will say that these men died for something. We can then say that. We can then say it was this that woke us from that slumber that we had. It was here that we said we drew the line. It was here. And so that's what I'm saying. Oh, this going to look. The death of this gentleman have brought the country together in a way that has never been. As I said, yesterday, this morning, I was on a show and we were literally biting each other's heads off.
Yeah. Like Hamza said, even though the whole politics left his body.
I'm saying that the whole country, and it's somber. It's also because of the personalities involved. These were nice people. Yeah. It also goes to show that our politics can be nice, our politics can be civil, our politics can be decent. But that's the point I'm making. Can we do that? Because if we do that, he made something about investment. He was the same finance minister saying that the presidential jet was unfit. And again, people did not agree with him. We took him on the usual politics, which is normal. I always say, look, if you disagree with a politician on a policy, it's okay. Because that is what politics means. It's policy, so long as it's not personal, we are discussing a policy. The first time I heard of presidential jet was when it was called a flying coffin. That's what President Rollins was using. But the appetite to get a good one was not there. Nobody, because again, politics, and nobody, even Jerry John Rollins himself could not bring himself to get anyone because he understood the politics. It took Kufuor to bring it. And Kufuor did a smart thing. He brought it when he was living because he knew what would happen. Today, everybody says it. Now, the thing is that we say, oh, it's politicians who were flying in this. It's the president. Remember the remark that the president cannot even bath in. So we see them as too much luxury for them. This is what we don't know. We don't understand. Today, almost every minister can decide that we are not going to fly for the next few days, as well in the country. Today, every MP can decide that we'll drive, we'll not do it. You know who doesn't have that choice? The Air Force men and women. They must fly. You see that big aircraft that brought the bodies?
Yeah.
I hear it must fly every day.
Yeah.
That's the one that goes to Tamale and comes back.
Yeah.
It must fly. So the soldiers, they don't have a choice to say, you know what, I'm just going to take off from the flying for. No, because that is their job.
Yeah.
That means that we are okay to endanger their lives. That means that we are okay to say that even if it is a flying coffin, you keep flying. Because again, they must fly, they must train with them. What it takes to replace this and what it takes to invest in these things are, I want to use the word here properly, you need balls. Pardon my French.
You're fine.
Pardon my French.
Yeah.
You need balls. That's the only thing you need. Any president who wants to equip the armed forces, who wants to say, look, yes, I'm a president, but I also have a wife, I have a family, I'm a human being. If I'm going to fly to go and save the country, I shouldn't be flying in an aircraft that you wouldn't fly even if it's a commercial flight for free. The politics will come, yes. The criticisms will come. We will say it, we'll talk about it. But what it takes are balls for you to say that, I'm going to do it, because that is what leaders do. Bush was criticized for the wars, for the bombing, for everything, for his entire life. Today, people are seeing it in a different way. Never again has never happened again. They've done it. So my point is that we need that. We need the people to say that, because that's the point. Literally, you can, they are professionals. They are soldiers. They're just ordinary people. They must go to their work. So let's begin to see that. If we see that, if we get that kind of investment, and then we can say that, look, you know what? The criticism will come, but we are investing in our people. We are investing in this effort. I hear almost all the people are from the Air Force base. Imagine one Air Force base getting like 4-6 of your people gone. The devastating effects. As a country, what can we do? Again, that's what I'm saying. So the rallying round with the Galamsey, let tomorrow, let what's his name, Mutale's son wake up, go somewhere and see a monument. Let this monument say they did not lose their lives in vain. That it was this, we put this monument there to commemorate them. And this was the day that a nation woke up from slumber. This was the day that a nation that true leaders emerged. This was the day that leaders who cared me. This was the day that leaders said, to damn with politics, to hell with politics, that we have an existential crisis. That these fine brains, these fine young men, these fine people, their loss is not going to be in vain. That we are going to continue their mission and bring it to a successful end. Like Bush did, like other countries, the moment we do that, then we are going to say to ourselves that we have honored their visions. We have honored what they come to. This period of national mourning is something that we should tap into to advance the country going forward. These other investments can come. These other things can come. But let's ask ourselves that we cannot miss this. Their memories are there. And you know one thing too that we are doing? Most of the attention seems to be on the politicians. If you check, look, whether you like it or not, probably it's because as politicians they have a face. We know them. These other people are just bureaucrats, if I want to put it that way. Long bureaucrats who are behind the scenes, so they know them. And the soldiers, well, they are just soldiers doing their normal soldier work. Yeah. But that is the reality. The reality then happens that, assuming, I want to ask the question, assuming this crash had happened, and there was no politician on board. Do you understand the problem? Assuming there was no politician on board, we wouldn't have had this. But that is the reality. The reality, as I said today, this morning, they are still flying. They are still going on missions. They are still going on training. They are still doing their daily job. We do our daily jobs, no? But we are okay to allow them to risk their lives in their daily jobs. As a country, as a nation, we can do better. We should do better. And it's important that we do better because that is what happens. So let's do not let our president, our vice president, our senior politicians fly in an aircraft that we know is no good for purpose. Right. If that means buying a new one, they should buy it. And because, look, like Kufuor bought it, he never sat in it. He left. Like Kufuor, he built the Jubilee house. He never lived, worked there. He left. But that is what posterity means. Right. Posterity will be nice to you. Posterity will be fair to you. Posterity said there was a leader who dumped the consequences and put his national interest first. And I think that this rallying around the Black Star movement, this rallying around the flag movement, this is where Ghana, we wake up and we say that politics will come, politics will go.
Okay.
As the Indian says, comrades will come, comrades will go. The revolution continues. I'm parroting that in the powerful in this song. We can then say here that, look, politics will come, politics will go. Policies that advance the interests of the nation will live on. The country Ghana will live on. And I want patriotic citizens, young, viral, smart, intelligent, patriotic citizens pay the ultimate price in the service of their country. A nation must be grateful, and a nation must remember them.
Thank you. So, Nanaya, on this round, I mean, pardon this question if it sounds sinister, because no malice intended, right? But I want to piggyback from what Dr. Zato said about if there were no politicians on board, would we even be having such a nationalistic approach or conversation around this? Because many other people who've lost their lives to illegal mining, but it looks like this particular one ought to be that clarion call, that wake-up call for us to start doing things differently. Now, the question is it enough? 8 deaths, enough for us to sit back and say, indeed, it is time for us to stop the talk shop and treat this thing like the existential crisis that it is?
Thank you very much, Sidi, and I think that that's a very good call. I can't remember if it was on this platform or one of the major networks. Somebody made a statement which I affirmed, and I said that should we lose some politicians to Galamsey, the conversation would change. It's unfortunate my brother is bad. It's very much unfortunate.
Yeah, very.
But you would realize that from yesterday, even you, the journalists and the broadcast presenters, the argument, the presentations have changed. Sweetie, you remember when there was this Galamsey issue on the table, Zato, Movement for Change made a presentation and said that we should suspend all mining activities for 1 year. Call back all licenses and certifications. I don't know if you remember this statement.
Yeah.
And halt it for 1 year for us to audit the activities of small-scale miners, for us to see what is actually happening with our forest reserves and our water bodies. We had politicians sink and say no. We had lawyers quoting laws and trying to tell us that the state had contractual agreements with these small-scale miners, and for that matter, it cannot happen. We have lost 8 lives. 2 very important ministers. Not that the other ministers are not important, but we are talking about the Minister for Defense. We are talking about the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, if I'm right. Yeah. We are talking about 3 crew members that we have trained with our national resources. 3 of them. Squadron Leader Peter, Flying Officer Chum, and Sergeant Ernest Adu. 3 young men. Do you know the most painful aspect of this? I don't know if it was Chum or Adu. One of them got married just a month ago.
And we understand one of them also left a 2-month-old baby.
Yeah.
Come on, do we papa? See, this dawn when I woke up, I asked myself one simple question. What would that lady be going through? Why do we do this to ourselves as a nation? You remember, I sat here and I said that Galamseyers are killing us. Let us introduce a shoot to kill. In those places, they sat here and spoke English. Told me.
Big grammar.
Big grammar. That do I know human rights? Blah, blah. These 8 men, are they not human beings?
What about their rights?
Do they not have rights to life? Murtala is left behind 4 children. After 1 week, you forget about their children. Sweeney was talking about Omani Buame's mother, the only child. The only child. You should have seen this woman's video when I saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
I wept. Every parent's wish is for the child to bury her.
Not the other way around.
Now she has to bury her child because of Galamsey. Why do we do this to ourselves as a nation?
Right. So is it enough? Do you think this begins that renewed energy towards this fight? That renewed approach?
It does not begin the renewed approach. This is the beginning of the end of this Galamsey thing.
Hopefully.
We should be able... What was the phrase you said in French and you said we should forgive you?
We should have the balls.
That's... Yes.
The balls.
We should...
Sorry for making me laugh.
Sweetie, you see... It started when... What's the gentleman's name? The one that they built a statue for...
Major Mahama.
Major Mahama.
Oh, good. We should add him to this list.
It started from the days of Major Mahama. We made noise around it for about a month or 2, and that ended it. Sweetie, if we want to fight Galamsey, we can fight Galamsey. We have been calling for the halt of Galamsey mining activities. And you see, we tied the hands of the lands minister. He is just so brave a man to be taking certain decisions backed by the president because they have that political will to be able to put an end to Galamsey and to have been taking some of these decisions. Where we are now, nobody should come to tell us that certain decisions that will be taken by the president, supported by the lands minister, is too harsh.
Yeah.
When you have come to say it is too harsh, then you should go to Mutale's house and see the face of his children. When you have come to say it is too harsh, then you should go to Omani Buame's house and see the mother. If you have come to say it is too harsh, go to that flying officer and see the wife he married freshly, 1 month.
Right.
We
so in a bit...
sorry, I don't cut you, but I want to ask him, what about the suggestions that, because Dr. Bomfair sat here and suggested that we should allow the communities to own these mineral resources.
That is a long-term thing. Okay. That is a long-term thing. We need immediate solutions leading into the long-term measure.
Okay.
How do we halt the thing and implement the policies into the long term?
Okay.
Yes, of course. I mean, they raised the issue about infrastructure and transport. In 2021, Sweetie, just give me some few seconds. 2021, encroachment delaying Kumasi-Obuasi Railway Project, Deputy Minister. This was published by, I can mention the name of the platform, right? City Newsroom. It says that the Ministry of Railway Development has attributed delays in the commencement of the Kumasi to Obuasi rail line project to encroachment on the lines. President Akufo-Addo in September 2020 cut the short for work to start on the 83.5-kilometer standard gauge railway line as part of the new Western line being constructed.
Yeah.
You understand me?
Yeah.
The Deputy Minister for Railways Development, Kweku Asante-Boateng, who spoke to journalists during the tour, said the government was working to resolve the challenges. 2021.
Yeah.
We are in 2025.
I want to add something small to what you're saying. It's not and disagree with some small. We can look the commercial miners, those that we know have been doing it. We can leave them with your 1 year moratorium, because whether we like it or not, we have to feed people. We can then go for the big.
They are not doing. They are not doing the Galamsey.
But the 1 year,
it's also on the small scale mining activities. That is what we're talking about.
They can say, look, if we declare a state of emergency just 1 year, we say we just do it 1 year to use it to sanitize the process. Because see, this thing they were going to do was part of the sanitization of the process.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is that if you sanitize it and you put, let's say, the good water back, they may go and meet the dirty water of the Galamseyers. But if you have that 1 year, say no, and then you clear off all the debris for purposes of this debris.
See,
now we not begin to bring it.
We have the solutions, but we refuse, and we're blinded by our myopic thinking.
Exactly.
Okay. But gentlemen, I'm not cutting you, but I'm asking that how do we ensure that after this 1 year moratorium, we don't come back to this? You remember in 2017...
We are not coming back to that. That's why I'm saying that it is...
There was the same moratorium, right?
No, it is a process.
You see, Doc, that's why...
We had laid down the process.
Nana, just briefly, if you were listening to me, that's why I said that. I know that tempers are high. The passion to fight this thing is high, justifiably so because of the demise of these great 8 men. And that is why I was careful in my choice of words. I said, if we would have to do this. But then it must be done. But you see, there's also another leg to it. Even in our anger, we still must be mindful of the human rights implications of that fight. I can understand your anger, Doc, justifiably so. But you see, we are also dealing with Ghanaians. Because even in the fight, if you are not careful and you are not being mindful of human rights, maybe we are this sad because these are leaders of our country. There are many innocent Ghanaians out there who lose their lives on a daily basis because of this issue of Galamsey. And so that is why I'm saying that, look, this must urge us on. But in doing so, we must not appear as a lawless state.
Yeah, Hamza, but
we must still have regard to our laws. Even these great men would still want us to honor our laws. Then it's important.
With the Galamsey fight, are we at a war or we are not?
I think we are. For some time now. Okay. I believe that we are at war.
So it's good you say we are at a war. What do you do when you are at a war?
You see, there's a declaration of war even has legal remits. Even he knows public international law, PIL. It has legal remits. Especially if you are doing it intrastate to achieve a certain political objective. It does not mean when we say that we have declared war on this, we will go all out disregarding our legally laid down principles. No, that's not what we mean. But when I say it is war, this attitude of politicians calling to intervene when suspects are picked up in the name of illegal mining must not be entertained. This attitude of politicians placing calls to get excavators released back to these guys must not be entertained. This attitude of us going to them to finance our campaigns and our activities must stop. We must go out there and crack the whip if we have to do it for the sake of these great men and our republic. And these are some of the things I'm talking about. You see...
So do you disagree with Nana's suggestion of the shoot to kill? You disagree with him on that?
Absolutely. I cannot.
He's a lawyer.
I cannot.
He's a lawyer, so I understand him.
No. And I'm sure that even these great men, if they wake them up today and ask them, they would not agree with the philosophy of shoot to kill. It is something we can...
Right. And I want to circle back to...
I had an unsafe London.
We will circle back to this, right? But I think the pressing thing on most people's minds is how do we even identify these bodies that have been burnt beyond recognition? And to help us share the perspective on that, we have Professor Dr. Paul Osei-Sampene. He is a forensic or histopathologist at the Department of Pathology, School of Medicine and Dentistry, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and also a consultant pathologist. Professor Sampene, thank you for joining us on the AM show. And we want to understand what are the options available to help identify the bodies, because from the video circulating all around, really, not just social media, it appears the bodies have been burnt beyond recognition. I was particularly sad to see that a body was carried in the cocoa sack what can we do moving forward to help us identify which body belongs to which personality?
Okay, thank you so much. And let me just extend my greetings to your host and then your panel, those that gathered at the studios and discussing the issue, and whoever is also worried about what has happened and what happened yesterday. My condolences to the government, the people of Ghana, and especially to the families of these gallant men as they are being described. Indeed, they are gallant in the sense that they were going to do something that is just, something that is on the heart of every Ghanaian, if my information tells me right, or my information that has been given is the right thing. However, back to your question, when such cases happen, I would like to speak in general terms. I wouldn't like to, narrow it only to the 8 people or 9 who were involved in that accident.
That's okay.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. In such instances, there are so many investigative procedures or mechanisms by which one can identify the body, even if they lump them all together as like what I didn't see that anyway. I didn't watch the videos or the pictures as it's depicted on the TVs. But then what I know is that it's not a big deal. It's not a big thing to identify the body. And I believe that those who will be, responsible for identification and probably the cause of death will actually be able to do that. There are a lot of things like DNA is there. Post-mortem computer tomography is also there. There are so many. Of course, we don't have the PMTT in Ghana, but there are some experts or there are experts on the ground who can actually go a long way to identify all these bodies and give them to their proper respective families for burial, and then all other things can also actually follow.
So as the bodies have been brought to Accra, how do you expect this to be how do you expect the process to be carried out to ensure that we are getting the result within the days that could then allow these families to get the bodies, the remains for burial?
The line is very faint, please. Can you come again?
Is it okay now?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay, so I was just trying to find out from you, now that they are in Accra, how should the process begin? How do we get the results we are looking for within the shortest possible time, just so the families that are affected can be given that sort of relief?
Well, usually when people perish in this manner, the bodies will be sent to the morgue, and then experts will be called. In fact, the process, it takes quite some time, but it shouldn't be, more than a month or that. So those are the things that can be done. The bodies are preserved either together or in separate sacks or whatever. They are preserved, and then samples of their bodily parts will be picked up. In fact, God in his, infinite wisdom has given us ways by which DNA information or DNA profiling can be seen even as the person is even dead. We can pick some samples from each and every one, and assuming that we are able to identify their families. All they do is to get some DNA samples from them, and then we take the samples of all those that have been, bent, and then try to match them by doing what you call DNA profiling. It's not a simple thing, though, but I'm just simplifying for the sake of the listeners and your listeners too. So it's not a big deal, actually. It doesn't take so long a time for them to do that. But if that is the only problem that is bothering the country, or for that matter, the investigators, then that is okay. But if they want to go into detail, what really happened that led to the accident, then that one takes a little bit of time for the pathologist or whoever, the forensic pathologist who comes in to look for traces of whether there was an accident or was it a homicide, or was it accident, and all those things. Those are the things that would take a little while for the forensic pathologist to determine. Otherwise, identification is not a big deal at all.
So from your experience, I mean, how should this be done? Should it just be about just the identification, or it will go further than just the identification from what you do know about such instances?
Well, I would have wished that it goes further than identification or identifying the bodies. I should think that the investigation should go further than just investigating, identifying bodies and giving it to the family members for burial. The bodies are more or less source of evidence, source of information. Even how they were lying on the floor in the forest could have also given some information as to whether there was an arson or there was just an accidental, or were the people dead before the bodies, before the plane crash and all those things. All those things are things that could have helped whoever is going to, investigate it further. Should have been probably invited, or maybe given the chance to go and have a look first and look at what has happened on the floor or on the ground or the accident scene. But from what I'm hearing, I think sympathizers and all those people are the ones who did the collection and brought the body to wherever they are supposed to be sent. So that the investigation should go beyond that. It should go beyond just identification of the body. Yeah.
Okay.
You just said that identification of the bodies would not be a difficult problem. And you also say you wish the investigation to go further than simply identifying the bodies. So what sort of evidence are we looking for to identify or to ascertain what caused this tragic event? What are we looking for?
Well, yeah, thank you so much. You know what? It's early days yet, and I believe that the government and the investigative bodies in their wisdom will find the appropriate people to do that. So I wouldn't like to take the lead by telling them or trying to suggest to them what to do. So I wouldn't go in that tangent. I would like the system, whoever the leaders or the investigative bodies want them to do, they probably know, or they will know exactly what to do. If they say they need help, that's fine. Then we are all in to assist in that condition or in that situation. But if they are okay with it, I think they can go ahead and get it done. They know, whoever is tasked to do that will know how to go about it.
Yeah.
What the information that is needed, the material to be collected and everything, they will have the idea as to how to go about it.
Now, this question is more for education purposes than, probing or inquiry. The videos that I saw, it looked like people had access, unfettered access to where the plane crashed. Usually when you watch documentaries or even films, when things like this happen, they sort of hold off the entire area so that, forensic proper investigation can be done. Everything is collected as evidence. From what we are seeing, are you confident that we can get or retrieve every bit of evidence to help us bring some finality to this? From the way people have access to the scene, as we are seeing in the video circulating around.
That one is absolutely no. Absolutely not. We cannot go into like you said, even 60 or 70% of it will be maybe the maximum that we can go. But to go to 100%, like you suggested, is going to be difficult. This thing, like I said, I want to speak on broader perspective when it comes to management of disaster. And I've always said it, and I will continue to say this, that Ghana, it seems we are a country of people who always act when there's a knee-jerk reactions that we always do. What is the work of this NADMO? NADMO, are they there only to be supplying bed sheets, iron sheets, and all those things? Do you understand? They are to go into some of these things, into educating the masses. You don't need to pay them. You don't need to set up an office and say that these are NADMO people in this constituency or in this village or in this area. You train them, about 5 people or 6, train them, let them be in the system. So in case of this disaster of this nature, what they will do, that they will be the first to go there, or even if they are among the people who are there, they will be coordinating the whole thing that, please, let us not touch it. Let us do this. Let us do that. I know that you have the empathy, you have sympathy for such things, but please, the sake of investigations and things like that, let us not be handling things. Even our police people, I've always had a cause to tell them, especially when I'm going to do autopsy. The police will come. I'm not saying all police. Most of them will come, and if tempered with the body, some of them will write that, foul play is not suspected. And I will tell you that if foul play is not suspected, why do you call me? Do you understand? So just leave it. Let those who are going to investigate do their own thing rather than you trying to suggest to them. And so these are some of the things that Ghana we should look into. The NADMO directions, the NCCE, and those who are maybe fire service and all those things, there should be some education. We don't need to have formal training for these people to manage. Because whether we like it or not, whenever there's an accident, people will go there and they would like to help. In the attempt at helping, what they do is that they also tamper with investigation, they tamper with evidence, they tamper with so many things. So I would suggest that we train people, not necessarily just employing them, giving them salaries. You tell them that, look, this is what happened, and we are constant fire outbreak. People go in there trying to assist. They cut wires and all those things before the investigators start their work. They will not even find out the wires, how it was connected and all those things. Sometimes you have to use scientific thing to guess and all those things. So these are some of the things that I feel that any government, anybody who is interested in the welfare and the lives of his citizens, they should be careful and then manage these things very well. Let us engage. Even in schools, let us advise and teach these children in schools how to manage accident scenes, how to manage disasters, and all those things. And not that it's going to be exams work or maybe some study that will lead to them writing exams. Something should be inculcated into their program, the school curriculum. Something to show them that, look, this is what to do and how to handle such cases. Because every now and then we see these things like, if I did not be in today, probably nobody would have even called me to ask some of these things. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And it is so sad that I feel so sad about Ghana. I feel so sad about the way we are looking at things, the way. So, for instance, this one that has happened, if you are not careful, we are not going to go any far as far as getting to the bottom of the issue and sometimes become political topics that will be discussed for about some days, after which everything goes away, and then the cycle begins. Everything like that is bad anyway, my dear.
So you're saying that the site or the scene is definitely contaminated to some extent?
Well, exactly. There is no two ways about that. If you tell me that the bodies were collected in what do we call it?
Cocoa sacks.
In cocoa sacks, and then I don't know. In fact, it is contaminated, and it is disrupted, and it is actually, confused in that area. It's going to people who handle. Did they have what it takes to handle such things? Were they able to give the positions of the bodies? Probably they will take pictures, but taking photographs and showing it to somebody, and the person being there, I'm talking about the expert, being there and looking at how the bodies are lying on the floor, and all those things. I'm not interested in the parts of the plane. That is not what I'm looking at. The bodies can tell me exactly what happened in the plane. All those things are things that we need to do. You see, I go to the scene. I don't need the police to write to me that we came there and the person is hanging and therefore it's suicide. No, you don't tell me this. Let me also look at it and tell you exactly whether he was killed and hung there or he died or by somebody helping him hang it dead. All those things are things that the body tells you. But here, we temper so much that this, like you rightly said, elsewhere the police would have been the first people to go there and then blockade everything. Nobody goes there. The police guard the area, protect the area. That we accept, we understand that you want to help us, but please let experts come in.
Professor Benjamin, as despondent as the picture you're painting looks, is it actually, does it mean that there's no hope to actually recover whatever evidence we need to ascertain exactly what went down?
I've not said that. I'm saying that the body that is on the bodies speak a lot. The bodies speak a lot.
Okay.
Hope, it is. We will have hope. But like you said, it is on the premise of what you said that, okay, are we going to get 100%? That's why I said 100% is going to be difficult because of the way, according to your narratives, the bodies have been handled.
Right.
That is where my worry is. Okay. But I'm saying that if the bodies were to be on the floor and then proper investigation, proper experts have been sent there to have a look at it, give their opinion as to how to handle the bodies, how to, look around and see all those things and the remnants of the bodies and all those. Sometimes maybe they may take it and some remnants might have also been left there. And so those are the things that we would have actually done. I'm not blaming this particular. I'm talking about in general terms. I'm talking about general terms. That's what has been happening in Ghana.
That's fine. Thank you. And as much as we are questioning the role of NADMO, is this not more of a Ghana thing than just an agency like NADMO? Is it not just who we are and how we do life here in Ghana? We always being catch up to...
We have responsibility. For instance, if you say Ghana thing, doesn't mean that if a doctor does something, or maybe a hospital does something, and maybe a life is lost. Is it Ghana thing? No, okay. It shouldn't be Ghana thing. It should be some people who should be responsible. At least people are being given that responsibility of helping in disaster management, and that is what I'm talking about. Let us not widen it to Ghana. We should look at it in that perspective. People who have been tasked to doing that, what are they doing? I'm not blaming one individual person, but that agency in particular, not the head of the agency, not the people working in the agency, that agency, what are they doing to help manage disasters? That's what I'm talking about, please.
All right. Thank you so much. Professor Dr. Paul Osei Sampini, forensic histopathologist, Department of Pathology, School of Medicine and Dentistry, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and also a consultant pathologist. Gentlemen, Kojo will take us to another guest shortly, but I want to find out from you how the words from Dr. or Professor Sampini fell on your ears. He's saying that definitely we have contaminated the scene, and we cannot ascertain to 100% what went down because of our approach to handling issues like this. Dr. Zato, let me start with you.
Well, you don't actually need an expert to tell you that. You don't need an expert to tell you that. The place was trampled upon, the people there, and the remains of our colleagues and these honorable patrols were not handled in a professional way. You don't need an expert to tell you that. And again, I'm happy that he's saying it's emblematic of organized situations. Something happened, but it's running there trying to help. We've never, and it is also poor education. Sometimes these things can become teachable moments for our police, for NADMO, to say that, look, hey, you saw what happened, this is not how you should have been, because the natural inclination of every human being is try to help, especially when you think somebody is in distress. So your natural instinct is to run to rush there to help. Well, we need some serious education to begin to say that, look, yes, you may think you're helping, but that is worse. Yes, there are better ways you can help. For instance, you could have helped by securing a perimeter. You could have helped by saying that nobody should go here. You could have helped by making sure that, let's say, if other things were coming to destroy the place, not to destroy, and hold the place safe and secured for the police to arrive. We've not done this. And it's even worse when you see it at accident centers. People have not been taught on, let's say, CPR. People have not been taught on how to handle this. And so sometimes the attempt to help actually becomes worse than not helping. So yes, the natural incline to want to help there is there. We cannot take it away. But we need to begin to, that is where we can introduce courses like CPR and courses, small courses like this in our basic schools to help them. If you watch, like you were saying, a lot of us watch movies and shows. The first thing there's a crime scene is that you see
yellow tape.
A yellow tape. I've still not seen a yellow tape there. I've still not seen a yellow tape. It's almost 24 hours. So people don't know, you're not already put to the fact that, hey, there has to be a yellow tape. Because again, it's possible that investigators can go back to the scene. You've not secured the scene. You have not secured the scene yet. So is it still a possible crime scene? Is it still an accident scene? Because even if you are not expecting crime, lessons there could help.
Right.
How do you get the lessons when the scene is heavily contaminated? And I said now, in fact, the fact that up to now there's still no red tape there, I don't know how Karen this pictures are, let me say that maybe it's there.
They came from last night. That was from last night.
Okay,
yeah.
so if I'm hoping that if by now, or the first NADMO or ambulance people to have been there, so I can forgive the, let me see, the farmers or the people who were there, because you see, they are just doing what naturally comes to them, let me help. But the first official people to go, they should have been those who have sealed them. So by the time we're picking the bodies out there, the tape should have come.
Yeah.
At least that was long enough for the tape to come
right.
up. Because when it also sends a message, and then you would have seen that everybody else was standing around the tape. It also sends a message. Don't be in here. But again, we are saying this, but we just, it's a loss. It's a loss. You know, seeing
within the 2 hours that they walked to get to the place, I mean, the farmers, we saw them, would have started the contamination already.
No, but that can still be limited.
The NCC itself should, maybe this is a work for the NCC.
No, I'm saying as for the farmers, you can justify. Because again, they were just doing. I mean, if you are standing and you see some burn, you can't just stand and look at it. But then that is also people you can easily question, you can easily get evidence on the bed. I'm saying that from that moment, the moment that let me say the official people got there, they could have just, okay, we'll take it from here. So from now on was behind the wire.
Yeah.
And then you seal it. My point is that when you do it, they themselves even begin to see that, oh, okay, this is why we have to stand behind. Let the professionals work.
Okay.
And then you can begin to get first-hand information from them.
Okay. And Hamza, so what do you think? Is it an information gap on the part of citizens or inadequacies on the part of institutions or state machinery that is supposed to be handling issues like this?
It's both, unfortunately. You see, I know that some people would be questioning the motive behind these discussions at this time. But the truth also is that there's no better time to hold these discussions than now. These are difficult moments, and it's a moment of reflection for all of us as a republic. And considering the fact that they died in the line of duty, it is only proper that we begin to interrogate the issues and ensure that those who are in charge of policy are listening and take the necessary steps so that we do not repeat that again. Like Dr. Zato indicated, it is not just about the contamination. In mourning these people, we must not also ridicule our international image. Because this is not just a national tragedy, it's an international one. And it has gone international in terms of the news. So it is important that when the crime scene is shown, we must be seen as a republic to be adhering to all the necessary precautionary measures that mostly we see on other platforms like CNN and the likes. When they have situations like that. This is something we could have avoided. I understand that the authorities were quite far from the scene. But then again, as a proactive republic, NADMO should have no excuse of saying that they were far from the site, because there are communities there. So what kind of planning did we do as a republic to even ensure that NADMO is situated in many of these hinterland areas? Because those who live there are citizens of the Republic of Ghana.
Sadly.
So it didn't have to take the regional minister and the minister responsible for lands and natural resources to organize people to go on that long distance. It didn't have to, in all honesty.
But he did well.
So
Ashanti regional minister really held the fort yesterday.
Yes, but you see, it didn't have to take them.
Really?
So what happens to these people who are found in these hinterlands on daily basis? Where is NADMO? How are the police able to man these areas? Because there are citizens living there. Are we able to reach these areas during elections?
Definitely.
The ballot box will get there.
Yes.
So how do we do that? And how is it that we are unable to put in at least even makeshift offices for NADMO to be able to coordinate the activities of some of these hinterlands?
It doesn't have gloves, it doesn't have anything.
You see, so you see, I don't like these pictures. But you see, there's the need for us there's the need for us to begin having the difficult discussions. And it's all part, what we are doing today is part of the national service.
Yeah.
Like I indicated, when I woke up this morning, I was trying to psych myself not to appear on any platform. So I nearly canceled. But then I asked myself, these were people who were on the path of service and died. What better way to show appreciation to them than to be part of a panel that will discuss their life and also lessons that we need to learn from this as a republic. And that is why I respect the job you guys do. Because trust me, today the whole nation will be listening to us. Policy makers will be listening to us. And the courage that you have demonstrated, even stepping beyond our cultural limitations. I know many of you have your cultural backgrounds, and I'm sure that this is a difficult exercise for you to have. Because our cultural thinking is that, oh, but it's still too early, so why are you having discussions surrounding this? But you have gone beyond that. That is leadership. That is providing leadership. So even those of you in the media, I think that we need to commend you since yesterday for the leadership you are also showing in this regard. So it is not enough to be shedding tears. Our tears mean nothing to these great men if we do not seize the opportunity to reform and to ask the most difficult of questions and ensure, like he indicated, that we do not experience something like this again. This country is a very lazy republic, excuse my language. I won't be surprised if at the end of today or a week after, we go back to business as usual. I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised. But you see, we cannot continue to go on this path. Our academic training, we all claim that we are educated and we gun for positions and we are elected. It must have meaning. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? It must have meaning. It must have meaning. So I agree with them. Even in the midst of mourning, we can still ask for accountability. Why is it that the site was handled the way it was handled? We need to know. What led to that? If it is pure inefficiency or incompetence on the part of people who ought to have known their work better, they must be dealt with. If it is failure on the part of government to ensure that the necessary infrastructure is provided for us to be able to man some of these things, government must bear the brunt. We can't continue this way as a republic. We can't deal with this issue as business as usual. Absolutely not.
It's not a good look on us at all.
Hamza speaks about us leaving this whole discussion possibly after a week. You remember about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Reverend Tim Forjo was here and he was proposing that we need to get 2 new fleet for the armed forces and a new presidential jet. We left it. Today we're back to the same whole discussion. I hope that we anyway, let me bring in an aviation expert, Dr. Isaka Yakubu Akparibo. Grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. From your own readings, I mean, if you listen to a lot of people, there seem to be some conclusions that the flight itself, the helicopter could have been faulty or whatever, but you understand the aviation sector very well. What is your own reading of what could probably have gone wrong yesterday?
Yes. Good morning to your panelists and your listeners too. And my condolences to the bereaved family and the government. Yeah, so I think it's too early for us to know the probable cause of the accident. Yeah, but normally when aviation accidents like this happen, we try to look at 3 broad areas. We look at the human beings, that's the crew. We look at the machine itself, that's the aircraft, the maintenance records, the parts that were used for servicing, and then we also look at the systems. The systems, we look at the environment, what was the weather situation. We want to know the crew management, whether there's fatigue management amongst crew. You want to know the organizational culture and other issues that borders around the systems. So normally these are the three broad areas that we look at, but it's very early to point to a probable cause. But when you listen to eyewitness account, it looks more like it's what in aviation we call control flight into terrain. So you have like a normal aircraft without fault, a competent pilot, but then due to lack of situational awareness, the aircraft goes to hit the terrain and then causes like an explosion like what happened. So it's very early for us to know the probable cause, but these are the areas that we'll be looking at. And in aviation, normally we don't take eyewitness account like 100%. You know, a research was done in the UK among A-level students. So a video was played to all the students, I think about 7 of them. And then after about some few hours, then they were asked to recall what they saw. And, you know, and each of them gave a different account. So that's why in aviation, normally we listen to eyewitnesses, but we don't take their story as the fact as 100% factual.
But did you mention lack of spatial awareness?
Situational awareness, I said. So what we have what we call control flight into terrain, which is normally due to what we call situational awareness. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you listen to account, it looks like the weather too could probably have played a role. I mean, how possible is that from your professional experience?
Yeah, so with rotary wing or helicopters, normally weather impacts their operations. So if you look at, for us in the civilian side, we do use them for air ambulances. We normally don't fly in we don't fly when the weather is also bad. But with the military aircraft, most of them are equipped with infrared and then radars and other gadgets that help bad weather conditions. And that's why even when we in the civilians don't fly, they normally would do in bad weather situations. But helicopters generally don't perform well when there are clouds or when the weather is bad, you know, and it's because they don't fly so high like the fixed wing aircraft. So normally when you go into clouds, you can get into a situation we call spatial disorientation. Spatial disorientation creates the sensation that, like, when you're a kid, if you run around for some time and you stop, you see that you'll be feeling very dizzy, or you feel like the air moving around. So that kind of sensation is created, and then you lose control. And because the distance is not high from the ground, you will not be able to recover, and that is why the normal crash that way.
I mean, according to reports, another chopper was grounded, had an emergency landing in the Esekuma area. So, should the Air Force have determined that the weather yesterday was not suitable for flight around the time that they left?
Oh, we normally look at the weather situation at the destination before taking off. And I believe that the Air Force for sure had done that, and they probably cleared the flight because they knew that the weather situation was probably good. But, you know, weather is very dynamic. Sometimes you get, like, information about the area, and then within the 30 minutes, then it changes, you know. So if you don't have live time feedback about that, you wouldn't know, you know. But I believe that for sure they had information about the weather situation there before departing across.
I don't know if you've seen the simulation some people have done where the helicopter crashes into a tree and then explodes at the bottom of that particular tree. If you have seen it, is that something that could come close to the reality of yesterday? Dr. Akparibo, do we still have you? Okay. Sweetie, let's bring you.
Yeah. Okay. So we also have Captain Michael Yao Foley, LLB. He has 40 years experience as an international airline pilot. He's not on yet. We'll bring him on. I was hoping to get a chance with Dr. Akparibo and ask what he can infer from the time that the Ghana Armed Forces announced that the plane had gone off their radar to the time news broke about the devastation that was seen in Obuasi, what he reads from, you know, the timelines over there. But Dr. Zato, I want to come back to you. We didn't give Nanaya the chance to reflect on what we heard from Professor Sampene. So Nanaya, let's hear your thoughts on that. He says that, well, he ignited a conversation about how we handled the scene. And so let's hear your thoughts on that.
To do more of public education when it comes to crime scenes and accident scenes. I believe that NADMO has, aside the distribution of food and mattresses, another mandate to be able to make people understand what disaster management is, because disaster management goes beyond just handling disasters when they happen, but there are preparations that you need to go through, and not just what had happened at the forest where the crash had happened, but if you see some accident scenes. Recently I saw one that involved a fuel tanker, and the people were not so scared, but they were going to harvest the fuel. I asked myself, what if there was a blast? And then what happens? And then we would come back and blame government. We would come back and blame witchcraft. We would come back and blame people we don't have to blame. We need to do that. We have the NCC, we have NADMO, we have the Ghana Red Cross Society. They also have a responsibility.
Are they still there?
They are still there.
Red Cross?
Yes. Recently, their national, their very top boss came to make a presentation.
Wow.
One of the programs I was
something very topical just came up about Mutala.
We need Muntaka or Mutala.
Mutala.
Well, Nana Sapong.
So
that's that for you?
It's basically.
Okay. Dr. Zato, you want to say something about something that's.
Somebody is arguing that he was a vandal. I know he was a farmer. That's very important. Farmer, a vandal.
Oh.
He's a farmer. He was not a vandal.
Anyway.
He was a farmer. I don't know. Like he was in a Kwafu hall and I think the farmer's bed. I think the person is just saying that because he looks like. Because Murtala stood for the truth, the right,
he must be a vandal.
Vicious, he must be a vandal. You see?
Okay.
So,
all right.
So you see,
Kojo, I think we have Professor Akparibo back with us.
Just quick one to add to that. I think we should go beyond these organizations that have been mentioned, and we should also be able to task our religious bodies to also wage into this war and into educating their members. Every Sunday, take 2 minutes to educate your members about some of these crime scenes. Because they were just, let me put it that way. I don't know if Sweetie understands the tree, but those are the scene. They are just there to help. But what harm can that help cause? So let's I mean, the Islamic clergy, when they have gone to the mosque, they can just use 2-3 minutes to educate the people on some of these things. And we are
okay. Let's wrap up with Dr. Akparibo. Doc, so I was asking whether you've seen that simulation making rounds, where the helicopter crashes into a tree and then explodes beneath it. If you have, how can that be close to the reality of yesterday? I guess we still don't. Dr. Akparibo, do we have you? I guess we don't have him, but I mean, I don't know if any of you have seen that simulation too.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yes. I mean, in fact,
Dr. Isaka Yakubu Akparibo, do I have you, sir? If I have you, I want to find out from you what you do make of that simulation exercise we've seen about the crash, where you see a helicopter crashing into a tree and exploding beneath it. If you have, how close can that be to the reality of yesterday?
So I haven't seen that simulation, but what happened yesterday, why it exploded that way was that I'm sure they carried enough fuel for the return journey. You know, Obuasi would not have a refueling station for the aircraft. So if the pilot had time, what he would have done was to do what we call dumping. So you dump most of the fuel, and then when you do an emergency landing, then the aircraft, even when it's like an obstacle, it doesn't. But because this was all of a sudden event that occurred, pilot probably didn't have time to do that. And the aircraft fired because it had enough in the tank. That is what I think happened. Yes.
Oh, so it's because of the fuel that did that sort of explosion.
Exactly, because they had to carry enough fuel that would bring them back to Accra.
Okay.
You know, and that caused the fireball. Yeah, but if he had enough time to dump some of the fuel, the fire would have been limited. It would have been this extent.
Okay. Yeah. And that would mean that they wouldn't have bent the way they did?
Yeah, exactly. So they would have bent the way, like, the bodies are so charged, you know, and normally we'll then look at the crash to see whether it's a survivable crash, you know, and by the way it happened, because of the fuel that they carried, then that's why they got fire and burned the. Yeah.
So you had
Dr. Akparibo, I'm wondering, what inferences did you make from the timelines? I mean, between the time the Ghana Armed Forces released their statements that their plane had gone off the radar and the time that the news broke of the crash and the burning of these bodies, what inferences can you make from your expert opinion?
Yeah, so the Air Force made that statement because they lost contact with the aircraft. And if you lose contact with the aircraft, you cannot conclude that the aircraft had crashed. You need to do a search and rescue first. And then when you find the aircraft, then you then conclude that they had crashed. Now, people report, when they release the statement, people had already reported that they had sighted the aircraft at the crash site. But the Air Force did not conclude that was because they didn't know that aircraft, their aircraft, or another one. So I think when they put up was the right timeline. I don't see any problem with it.
Well, Dr. Isaka Yakubu Akparibo, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Now, let's usher in Captain Michael Yaufoli. I mentioned that we'll be talking to him. He has 40 years as an international airline pilot, certificate in airline contract law, international air law, and aircraft purchase, contract, and operating leases. Well, Captain, thank you for joining us this morning on the AM show. First of all, I want to get your initial reaction. What state of mind were you in when the news broke out, and what deductions have you made so far?
Well, first of all, I don't know if good morning is an appropriate greeting for today.
You might have to speak up for me, Captain.
Oh, first of all, I don't know if good morning is an appropriate greeting this morning.
It's okay. Good morning, Captain.
It's a sad day for the nation, for the families of those involved, and for aviation. No, it's a shock to the national conscience, and a shock to everyone who loves human beings. It's a shock to everyone, and it's a gap to collect the government. I was just there yesterday when the news broke.
Oh, so Captain, I'm getting some interference in your connection. We're going to try and re-establish that connection. Hopefully it's better. Let's try again.
Okay.
You're saying that it's a sad day. You're unsure whether good morning will be an accurate greeting. And then I lost a chunk of everything else. So let's try again.
Yes. I said yesterday was a God blow, the whole nation. A terrible tragedy. And I wonder how long it will take for us to recover from this.
You've flown extensively across many continents. I don't know if you're still with us. And we are hearing that this could have been an issue of bad weather and the plane crashing. And then we also heard the experts say that it's possibly, too much fuel aboard, which is why the bodies were bent to that extent. I want to understand from your own perspective if you think these explanations fly.
When there is an aircraft accident, we don't rush into making speculations, accusations, suppositions. There must be an exhaustive investigation. We should ignore all the theories. We should ignore all the conspiracy theories. We should ignore all the fake news. Even eyewitness accounts are only part of the investigation process. If there is an aircraft accident, it could be caused by many factors. It could be an aircraft that suddenly disintegrates in flight as a result of a mechanical failure. It could be weather-related. It could be a maintenance issue. It could be what we call pilot error. So there has to be an extensive investigation. Within the first 30 days, there should be a preliminary report. And then within the next 12 months, after the investigators have accessed the flight data recorder, the cockpit voice recorder, then hopefully they'll be in a position to come out with the proper cause of this accident.
In a situation like this, where even the bodies are bent beyond recognition, is it possible to recover this black box you talk about and the other pieces of evidence that would, help this investigation that you're asking for?
What we call the black box is actually two instruments. We have the cockpit voice recorder, which records every conversation on the flight deck. Then we have the flight data recorder, which records all the parameters of the aircraft. The altitude, the speed, the direction. If there is any malfunction, it will also be recorded, hopefully. So a combination of the aircraft performance, in addition to the cockpit voice recording, can point investigators to a specific direction. In addition to that, there will be other factors that will be taken into consideration. It is a military helicopter. Questions should be, were there any explosives on board? Was there any ammunition on board which could have caused an explosion outwardly? Or was there a projection from outside that caused a disintegration? Eyewitness accounts can help. Was it weather-related? So these are aircraft investigation is a detailed process which cannot be rushed and should not be rushed.
In your 4 decades of experience, have you encountered anything like this? And how did the people handle it? What lessons can you share with us in terms of how we can also manage this going forward?
From a pilot's point of view, it's pilots who discuss and narrate these things. It's not for the public. Of course, we've come across incidents, events that could have resulted in accidents, but from our training and our competence, we've resolved them by the grace of God. What should concern the public is especially the relatives of the deceased and also the traveling public and all sympathizers is what is the cause of this accident. I saw something about the military investigating.
Mm-hmm.
The military's role is even minute in this process. They were the ones who owned the aircraft, the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
They service it. They dispatch it. They chose the crew. So they are not the ones to investigate this accident in the broader sense.
Mm-hmm.
We have an independent accident investigation board, which hopefully by now should be going to the military and asking them, let us see the maintenance record of this helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Let us see the training that you gave the crew. Tell us the plan you had for this flight.
Mm-hmm.
So accident investigation should not be left to the airline or the ones who own the aircraft. No. It's a broader issue because the manufacturers of this aircraft will also be involved in the investigation. First of all, they would like to exonerate themselves.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will affect their brand.
Mm.
Then also, civil aviation is in charge of all aviation in Ghana. So they are the ones who will hand over this investigation to the Independent Accident Investigation Board. So the military can do their thing, but we, the public, we are watching them because this is a national issue.
Mm.
This is my take on it, yes.
Captain Michael Yaufoli there. Kojo, I believe you have some questions for him as well.
Independent Accident Investigation Board.
Yeah, here in Ghana, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think we just found out.
So the aircraft accident.
So there's one here in Ghana.
Incidents Investigation
Captain,
and Prevention Bureau.
can you confirm for us how active this is?
Yeah, we are active.
Oh, yes. Oh, we have a very robust and well-qualified accident investigation board.
Okay.
They are well-trained, they are well-equipped. I think recently, even the head of the board attended an international conference of some sort. So they are well-equipped. They are independent. They should not be influenced, and they will not be influenced by the various actors that operate in Ghana, so to say.
But my colleague wanted to find out from you earlier that if you look at the kind of explosion that we've seen, will it affect the black box and the items that you say can, assist the investigation? Will they still be there if you look at this sort of explosion we saw?
The black boxes, as we call them, are very robust. They are built to withstand huge amount of shock. They are built to withstand fire. But the damage to the black box can delay the result of the investigation.
Mm.
They will need expert input, probably even from the U.S. or the manufacturers. So the degree of damage to the black box can only delay the investigations, but they are built to withstand shock.
Okay. So there's no room for us to be told that those items were not found.
They should be found. Black boxes can even be detected when they are submerged in an ocean.
Okay.
You remember Air France aircraft that plunged into the Atlantic years ago?
Yeah.
The black box was located. So if that black box is serviceable, it should be retrieved. They should be able to extract the data on it. So we need some patience in the investigations, even whilst we mourn our dearly departed.
Approximately how much time are we talking about? Just to measure our patient's timeline. How much time would it take?
Well, for accident investigations, within the first 30 days, there should be a preliminary report, general report as to what happened. Then the detailed reports should come out within 12 months. But it also depends on the complexity of the investigation. It could take longer. This is a general principle.
All right. Well, Captain, thank you so much for also bringing your perspective to the matter. That's Captain Michael Yaufoli, and he has 40 years as an international airline pilot, certificates in airline contract law, international air law, and of course, aircraft purchase contracts and operating leases. Gentlemen, we should be wrapping up, but I want us to reflect on the outcomes or the fallout for the conversations we've had so far. So 3 key things that, for me, piques my interest. 1, at all costs, we should be able to recover the black box, which would give us some sort of clarity on what happened. The second thing is there should be an independent investigation. Otherwise, if the military is doing their own investigation, we are talking about conflict of interest. And then the third thing he said was, in a matter of 30 days, we should have a preliminary report in terms of what happened. Hamza, I want to start with you. Let's reflect on these outcomes.
I think that I would want to take leave immediately after.
Yes.
If that is okay. But I agree with him, but I am not so much keen on the timelines.
Okay.
Because I would want them to take their time and actually get to the true cause of the accident so that we can use it as a guide going forward. For me, that is my commentary on that. And I think that the black box is important. We would get to know at what point in time the flight went off radar, because if you remember, somewhere in the afternoon, the Ghana Armed Forces released a statement indicating that they had lost one of their flights on the radar, and so they were trying to track it before the news eventually came that this was what happened with many of our comrades on board the flight. So it is a difficult moment, and we are also struggling to put our thoughts together and to understand what actually happened. But I think that it is not out of place to be calling for investigations and be calling for the necessary things to be done in the interest of the Republic. But I will end my submission by saying that this is the time for us to be there for the parents, for the families of the bereaved, and give them all the necessary support. Sometimes you may not even need to have any personal contact with the person to go and visit. It is okay because they were serving the Republic, and as long as you are a citizen of the Republic, it is only proper that your presence there at this material moment would go a long way to help the families go through this difficult moment. We must all appear in our numbers, support them in any little way that we think we can, be there to receive visitors, be there to just chatting around can be so healing during these moments. Only those who have lost loved ones would understand how magical these moments can be, especially when you are around. And it is the night that I dread. And thankfully, in our upbringing, they are not even allowed to sleep alone. People are around them. So let's go and give them that support. Let's pray for their souls. Let's make sure that their families feel proud of their service, depending on how we conduct ourselves during this period of mourning that His Excellency President Mahama has declared. And I don't even want to hazard a guess as to what is going through his mind and how he felt since yesterday, because I know his relationship with these people. And we all can see how it has affected us, but it is difficult to hazard a guess when it comes to President Mahama.
Haruna Idris said that he was crying like a baby.
Yes, it is. That is why I don't even want my mind to go there, because I know him, the kind of person he is. So if you are not careful and you are going to run commentary as to how he would feel, you would be accused of doing politics even with this unfortunate event. But any of us, how would you feel if people you have tasked to do a particular service?
Exactly.
You feel that you have sent them on an errand, an assignment, The death is not 1, not 2, not 3, 8.
And he was supposed to be there himself.
Yes. So I'm even sure now he's not thinking about that. Maybe he would even be thinking that probably if I was there, this wouldn't have happened. So God give him strength to go through this.
I call it the kind of guilt he'll be having on himself.
Survivor's guilt.
Guilt not because of him not being there, but because he knows that I sent Hamza. And this has happened to Hamza. You know, like, am I responsible? If I had not sent Hamza, would he have met this? I was telling someone this morning that they have to have a special psychologist for the president.
Yes, it's important.
It will not be easy at all. Since yesterday till today, it will not be easy. Yes. Knowing that I sent people to meet their own time, the 8 of them.
And this is not a man who had a distant relationship with his appointees. No, he's not that kind of a person. Like, it's the relationship, if you are there, if you've been around the president, around his appointees, like, it is moved from politics to, like, brotherhood, some bond, some family bond. Cracks jokes with them. It is difficult, and it will be difficult for him, honestly.
Dr. Zato, so your reflections, and then you add your final bit to it for us.
Thank you. I think that the president is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. He will easily send men to war if this country is under attack. He will be good. The president will be good. He's got this, right? Because every day he has to make the full decision. It's similar. What just happened is similar to him sending soldiers to go to war. And if there was a war in this country, he will send them. Some will come back, some will not come. So the president will be fine. I think he'll be fine. The Ashanti regional minister yesterday demonstrated leadership and strength. From the moment he and you see the thing is that this whole thing was playing out live in front of us.
Yeah.
We saw everything happening. The man, he got the call. He still had the composure to try to finish his speech. And he said, look, I'm done with this. I have another important thing I'm going to do. Continue. That was leadership. I want to say, it reminds you of how some of the leaders say, he could have panicked. He could say, hey, Ajay, my or what they would say, but he didn't do that. He kept and then he left. The man we are told now drove about 2 hours. Some small questions arose. Did he call his regional police command? Call the district or the local police there to say, try to get here and secure the place. We are still talking about that level of chain of command. As he was driving there, did he say, look, guys, there's an accident here or there's an alleged accident. Get some people quickly down there to secure this place. Whatever it is, don't touch anything, don't let anybody. I'm saying that these are the lessons we need to learn from investigations. To say that, look, and also telling, these are some of the lessons we need to give to our political appointees, especially regional ministers and district chief executives, who are always the first line, like bosses of the RECSEC or the DISEC. Do you understand? They should be able to give, the national security should be able to give them this basic chain of command information. To say if it happens in your district and your district chief executive, your first call should be your commander, your district police commander, regional police commander, and the question should be secure the place. That the regional minister should have this as part of their playbook. Hey, I'm traveling there, yes, to show leadership, but hey, not more boss. An accident has happened. I want this place sealed, and I want it sealed like now. By the time I get there, the crime scene should be sealed. We want to see that that kind of chain of command going on. And they want to see this so that if that happens, if that becomes the rule of thumb, what we are saying will not always happen again. So that even by the time the experts or the embassies get there, we'll have officials of NADMO, we'll have the official of the Ghana Police Service seal off the place. Completely seal it off. If you go, of course, even the people are there, you can know that, okay, you went and you met 10 people there. You can put them aside, say, don't go away, just stay here. Somebody will come and talk to you and brief you whilst you seal the place. My point is that we can also use this, apart from it being a rallying point, as a teachable moment. I'll be happy if national security, the police and will come out with a kind of a brochure or a kind of training that they will also give to, especially these officers, district chief executives, regional ministers, to say that in a crisis like that, we want you to go by this, so we can begin to hold that. In that way, this place will be sealed. Because part of these investigations is also to tell us that this is how we should do things different next time. This also go to help even with roadside accidents. To say that when there's an accident like this, again, first point, because it starts from the district or the local level, this is just, hey, police, NADMO, seal off the place. Let the professionals come in and the people that are there. If we begin to do that, we'll see that there will be a change to this, so that when things happen, people are not running there. Literally, sometimes we see them pushing people to take good pictures and then post it on social media.
Yeah.
See, if we can do that, then people, as I said, by this time, I hope, I don't want to see a live picture, but if we see a live picture, if there's still no red tape there, something has gone wrong. So we need to do that. And it's when we keep seeing it, like I said, we see the movies, we see the shows, we see everything. So it's even building for you to realize that, okay, they will always be, so that whenever you see a red tape, like that, you're like, uh-oh, it has to be a place that you just take it. Let's begin to do that. But as we are moving on, as I said, these are gallant men who died serving their country. That's the message we take. They served our country, they died doing what they swore to do. They swore an oath to serve this country. They died carrying it out. As a country, we must never forget. And at the end of the day, when we sit down, we will look at it, we must look at it. Why were they going there? And if we know why they were going there, we can then say, let's help them finish their mission. We can literally carry what they wanted to do. See, you were going to do this, you didn't get there. We will take it up from you. We can say, the comrades, rest peacefully. We've got this. We can say, patriots, rest peacefully. We've got this. We can say, Ghanaians, or to the families of these people, your loved ones did not die in vain. They died in their country. This is what they want to do. So we've got this. And as I said, let their young children wake up and say, hey, my father died doing this. When he died, we carried on. That is the only way we can immortalize their vision. We can immortalize them. That's the only way as a country we can say that we're grateful to them. If we do that, these gallant heroes, these comrades, these patriots wouldn't have died in vain. That is all we can do. That's the minimum.
How sure are we that we can move from the talk to action? You remember, I mean, when he was speaking, I was giggling. You remember Major Mahama?
We said it before you came, sorry. So you brought it up, right? He brought it up.
When he died, we said same thing. Yes. Do something to honor his memory. How many years on? What has happened to the fight against Galamsey? It has even gotten worse. So really, when will we move from the talk to action? That if we really want to honor the memory of these guys.
I will say this. Sometimes life doesn't give you a second chance. Sometimes life, it's not everybody who gets a second chance.
Yes.
But I can say as a country, we now have a second chance.
To do what is right.
To do what is right. I'm saying sometimes life doesn't. Life doesn't. But now we have. And let's say, we can now say, okay, wait, you remember, and that's why my brother brought it up. Very insightful, say, hey, we've been down this road before. And that's why I also bring it up. We were down this road before. Major Muhammad's family is still alive. Today, they are feeling how these people are feeling. Yeah. They can know, oh, this thing again, how did we let it happen? They can know. And then we must then say that we will not let any other family, never again. And that's why I brought the example of 9/11. Bush said never again. He went around the whole world bombing everybody, literally bombing everybody. Bombed so hard that...
Well, we have to get...
We cannot go around bombing everybody, but we can go out as a country, as a grateful country, and appreciate their sacrifices and make it count.
Okay. And apologies, I know you have to be somewhere else, but let's hear your final.
I mean, it's heartbreaking, and I think we support a call that this shouldn't happen again in Ghana. And you asked a question about the black box, and the little I know about the black box is that it is almost indestructible. I know it's fireproof, I know it's waterproof and all of that, so it's practically almost indestructible. So they have no excuse. They can always find it and retrieve it.
Now
and get
we have
the data.
established that they cannot tell us they can find it.
Yes.
No, it's established. So. And then one of my mothers just sent me a WhatsApp, Ma Evelyn, and she says that, Nanaya, it is time that we introduce first aid and accident scene management as a subject from our basic school education.
And the churches too.
And so I think I would agree with her that indeed we need to present it or put it out there as a subject for us to study, and even in our religious organizations, as I said already. And this is a lesson to all of us. I believe that today, if we are to meet again, if indeed, as a believer, if we are to meet again, the question that will be asked is, what did you make of our death in the fight of Galamsey? And we should, as a nation, have some answers to give to them. We have lost very young people, very, very young people. I mean, Mutala was just 51 years. I mean, Omani Buama, I don't think I think should be younger than 51, if I'm not mistaken. The oldest one would be probably Dr. Samuel Sapon and then Alhaji Mohammed. And the rest should be in their 40s and in their 30s. These are young ones that have been lost. It's sad. It's very sad. And we wish their families well. Alan John Kojo Tremantin, through the spokesperson for Movement for Change yesterday, issued a statement to the families and to the country. And it is our prayer that indeed we win the fight and the war against Galamsey. And we still insist that there should be a ban on Galamsey or the small-scale mining activities for a year for us to deal with the matter properly, you know, adding up to the good work that is being done by the current minister. And we would also plead that when harsh decisions are being taken against these illegal mining activities, the human rights lawyers would also have in mind that the ones that are being lost, the lives that are being lost, also have a right to life.
Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of this special news review segment. We're calling it Ghana Months on the AM show. In no particular order, these are the people we spoke to today. Dr. Joshua Zato, political scientist and policy analyst. Hamza Suyini, legal practitioner from the camp of the NDC. Nanayal Sapong, political analyst and from the Movement for Change. Dr. Isaka Yakubu Akparibo is an aviation expert. And Captain Michael Yaufoli, he's an international business law honors holder and he has 40 years experience in international airline piloting. Kojo Brace and I will be back on your screen to continue the conversations on the AM show. And we also spoke to Professor Dr. Paul Osei Sampeni. I must have forgotten his name there. He's a forensic histopathologist, Department of Pathology, School of Medicine and Dentistry at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. So he's also a consultant pathologist. I've had so many comments coming in that you want me to revisit that poem by Amato, a Ghanaian poet. Maybe at the last hour or minutes of the show, I'll bring it back. But let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more on the AM show. To the AM show. And like I said earlier, Ghana Months. Kojo and I are here to bring you what has been happening on social media. The comments, the messages of solidarity, sympathy, condolences pouring in. And we want to highlight some of them for you this morning. Kojo?
It's a tragic moment in Ghana, very tragic period. Families are going through unimaginable grief, grief that you and I can only guess, but cannot really predict exactly what it is. And most of you, you know how we are as Ghanaians, we are for each other. So yes. A lot of you have taken to social media to tell exactly what you do make of this situation, and we're here to share that with you. Yeah.
Well, let's start from Nanaba Alolo GH. He says, only birth is the remedy against death. As it stands, we should treat each death, or we should treat death as part of life. It will surely hit every household, one way or another. Everyone knows how we came, but nobody knows how we are going to live. Yeah. The only constant thing about life, they say, Kojo, is death. Yeah. And so we should embrace it. that it's difficult. What does the next one say?
Osetutu says, as a nation, are we serious? And he's asking a question. People using this for politics. There was a helicopter crash during the previous government, but there was no fatality. My question is, did we do any investigation and what lesson learned from that crash? If there was any lesson learned, we wouldn't have this consequence. Well, I'm sure he's referring to the one that happened in my hometown. You remember the one that was carrying the
fuel tanker or something?
No, it was carrying the stuff from the oil field.
Oh,
and that crashed.
Yeah.
Anyway, he has a question. He has a good question. What happened? What are the lessons we learned from that? Well,
I mean, the even more important question is, if we come back here again, what would they say about us as a people?
Yeah.
Because this isn't the first time.
Yeah.
That is why he's asking if we're serious. But if this happens to us again, if we look on and we don't actually take the difficult decisions and we come back here, Kojo, I shudder to think how we will look to the rest of the world.
If you look at the statistics Kofi Ajay shared yesterday, from 2002, we've had similar crashes. In one of the crashes, all the passengers perished. Also happened in a forest. So you ask yourself, on that particular crash, that happened in a similar terrain.
What did we learn?
Exactly. So,
well, let's go to the next comment, and we should be wrapping up in a minute, but stay with us. Emmanuel Nete Davidson is saying, it hurts to see this happen to our fellow citizens. If death is reversible, I will wish they come back alive. How will their families feel at this time of tragedy? Their kids and loved ones who've lost their breadwinners. What a cold, icy day. This shouldn't happen to anyone. My condolences to their families. This is a very sweet message. I understand the pain behind the message and its reflection. And I might as well go on and say the analysis, analyze the dots that is there. You know, it's like your thoughts keep coming. What are we doing? What happens to the family? What happens to the children? Thank you for that. Kojo, what does the next one say?
The kids wake up, the kids return from school and ask, Mommy,
where is
Daddy? It will be one of the heartbreaking questions to answer as a spouse or as a parent when you know that the only answer to give the child is daddy is normal. But how do we even tell the child for the child to understand? Yeah, I lost my mother when I was 13. Our youngest brother or our youngest sibling was 2 weeks old baby.
Oh.
No, a week old baby. And the one after her, or before her, was 2 years. Now, that child, that boy, never knew. And even the third born never knew the face of our mother. So how do you break that news to such a child? It's a terrible news to tell. And then the case says, so the 16 children who tragically died last week or so didn't deserve a national mourning. Not even a statement from the presidency. We are all sad, but everyone must be treated equally. Well,
but this is inaccurate because we have received a message from the presidency. The chief of staff took to the podium yesterday and announced on behalf of the president, and even some of the ministers were speaking on behalf of the president. I remember Harun Idrisu saying how devastated the president is. But if you're asking for the president himself to speak, we can understand that it's a really difficult time for them. And you were saying, again, he sent these guys.
Yeah, but again, we shouldn't be doing this. You know, if you do this, you are pitching one group of people against the other. These are deaths. In as much as probably you are expecting the president or the presidency to speak on their death, and we all agree with you, I am not sure you should flash it in their face, you know, about the fact that they didn't. So let us be sensitive in the period we're in. We mourn everyone is important, but just don't let us compare these guys.
Yeah. Enoch Pepra says, Your Excellency, I can see your pain. Nobody will wish this, even for his greatest enemy. Words cannot explain how deeply I am hurt about this clash. Dr. Mani Boama is a man I knew from your first administration, that's from 2012 to 2016, and I'm deeply saddened by this. May God console you in this difficult time. Accept my condolences, Your Excellency. Interesting days ahead. This is the kind of message we should be sending out, understanding that we are all in a very difficult time. Daniel.
Daniel Nemo says, we are all travelers on this brief journey called life. Today we walk side by side as we are standing side by side here. And tomorrow we may be gone. So let us choose kindness over conflict, understanding over judgment, and love, most importantly, over hate. No one knows what burdens another carries. So speak gently, forgive quickly, and cherish each moment together. In the end, it is not wealth or pride that matters or that remains. It is the peace we gave, the love we shared, and the lives we touched. Let us live not just as neighbors, but as one human family. And this fits into the testimony we've heard from people about, especially Dr. Mani Boaman and Murtala Mohammed. I'm sure for the rest of the people, those who know them can testify to their human nature. So people say that in this world, it is not your wealth, it is not your pride. What matters is how you impacted people with your life. That should be the guiding principle.
Kojo, well, so we're also picking your calls so that we can hear you and hear your messages. Abdul Ganiu is our very first caller. Ganiu, how are you? What's up?
Good morning to you, and good morning to our viewers out there, especially the people of Savannah region and the Boyaman Karbu. You know, in Savannah region, we have experienced a lot. Yesterday, I think Murtala as SP for Tamale Central, the mother is coming from my hometown. The former regional minister, Alaji Limona, is from my hometown. The former parliamentary candidate for Obuasi West or East is our Savannah Regional MPP organizer, Garage Junior brother. So Savannah region, this crash has touched us. But it is the will of God. It is the will of God. As a young guy, or a human being, we shouldn't be heartless. We shouldn't be heartless. Everything has an end. Whatever you are doing today, tomorrow you may not be there. Or this evening you may not be there. It's only a humble person who will survive in heaven. Let's humble ourselves as human beings. Whether you are rich or poor, if you die, it's finished.
Okay.
It is finished indeed. Thank you, Ganiu, for calling. Kojo, we have another caller.
Let's bring in Yaya, who's calling us. Yaya, good morning to you.
Good morning,
Amasaman.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's hear you.
How are you people?
Would want to say we are.
You know, usually I'll jump and say fabulous or fantastic, but not
condolences
today.
to all the families of the dead people.
Okay.
And entire family, NDC party, and the whole Ghanaian. May their soul rest in peace.
Okay.
We thank Ghanaians too for condolence to them. Okay. Sorry for all of them.
All right.
May God grant them Jannah to Firdaus. My name is Yaya. But Mr. Bruce, I beg you, stop the politics of president and let's talk about those who died. That's what.
Well, Yaya, thank you so much. We are doing the best we can. I don't know what you were trying to say there, but Kwame Sika is saying, I'm just asking, how important was that program that a, quote, solely poor weather, unquote, couldn't have put it on hold? Commercial flights and flights in general don't take off on bad weather in serious jurisdictions because of the fatality involved in plane crashes. What forecast was given about the weather prior to takeoff? What advice was given? Who was in charge, among others?
I'm sure these are questions that would get when the investigation gets underway, because flights don't get grounded in serious jurisdictions anyway. In Ghana, I've suffered from that. In Kumasi, they grounded our flight because of bad weather. So it happens here. We'll get to know answers to these questions from the investigation.
Yeah. I actually have a similar experience. I think my last trip to South Africa, I had to spend like close to 8 hours because the flight was grounded. Bad weather, you know, so it happens.
It happens in Ghana. So he asked critical questions we need to have answers to. But you listen, when we spoke to the civil aviation expert, he said that it could be that they cleared them that the weather was okay in that area. And then he asked, but the weather changes. So the weather could have changed in the process of their journeys, and that could have been the issue.
The good thing is we've established that the black box is indestructible.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll find out sooner than later what happened.
So let's
Kofi
Jamina. Yeah.
Kofi Jamina.
Yes.
Hi, Kofi. What's your message for us this morning?
Yes.
Well, Kofi, don't listen to us on your TV set. Just speak to us directly. When you do call us, I have to say this. When you call us, just speak to us directly on the phone. Don't listen to yourself or me or us on the TV set so we can hear you clearly.
Gimbia Gibrini, I hope that's right, says, we are not even promised the next seconds. Life is fragile. Moments are fleeting. And tomorrow is never guaranteed for anyone. Just invest in what makes you happy and live peacefully. My condolences to the bereaved families.
Kojo, let me bring in Rutherford now. Rutherford is calling from Dansuman. How is the atmosphere in Dansuman this morning, Rutherford?
I'm calling from Kasua.
Oh, Kasua rather. That's fine. Let's hear you.
Yeah, good morning, Kojo and Giti.
Yeah.
I know the morning is very bad for all of us. And we are all mourning. What I would like to say is that this is the time for us to reflect back and check how we protect our citizens. This is not time for the leadership of this country, whether position or in power, to play politics. It is not a time to try to be heroic with this. It's a tragedy. Very good, and we are mourning. Everybody's lives count. Being a Ghanaian, my condolences to the bereaved family and all Ghanaians. May God grant us strength to mourn them and give them the fitting barriers. Thank you.
Thank you, Rutherford, for those kind words. And Kojo, this is where we are. But so some of our audience were asking for the poem. It's Amato. He's a Ghanaian poet and medical doctor. And the title is The Way I Would Like to Go. I don't know if I'll have time to read the entire poem again, but a Google search can give you the actual lyrics or the poem. And it's very emotional. It's an ode to the 8 fallen soldiers, fallen comrades, fallen patriots who lost their lives yesterday. We have another caller from UG, Osofo Ajete. Yeji. Ah.
Oh, Osofo Ajete. Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, please, Yeji. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please, can you permit me to speak to you?
Why not? Please do it.
We a bitch kasi atu Ghana maina etimi to bibia Ghana ina raho because eye nuanom oye papa nom na mestre sayemfa akumakro ena yemhihie ebompaye ema eyire no ma wana agane mmoframa mama yemfa politics embemu etimi to bia Yakupon fa or currency, non chichi yenso ayetin kwamu ye na bibisa and to Ghana pium. Yakupon shra join office me.
Yada Sibibri say also afraid aseme wakuma so ediamae. How's my chico? So Ahmed Salif says, our sincere sympathies and many condolences to the government and beautiful people of Ghana during these difficult national tragic times. Our special thoughts and prayers are with the respective bereaved families. All of Africa mourns with you, which is true, in fact. Yesterday, most of the African channels carried the story. Actually, that's how I heard it. Surprisingly, that's how I heard it. Yeah.
CNN carried it online.
BBC Online.
AP did. I mean, most international portals picked it because this is tragic indeed, you know.
The world mourns with Ghana.
Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
I think
while you take the last one, I'll try and get the poem for our audience.
This is from Manasseh Azura when he says, I'm feeling this way. How would their families, if I'm feeling this way, how would their families feel? This is too cruel. Dear God, heal them.
Amen. The way I would like to go. This is the way I would like to go, if you must know. I would like to go while still young, while the dew is wet on the grass, to perish in a great air crash, with a silver plane burning bright, like a flashing star in the night, while the huge wreckage, all ablaze, shines brightly for my last embrace. I would like to see the flames consume each nerve and bone and hair and nail, till the dust is not but ash remains, or as stones swiftly sink unseen. But if I should hear someone wail, because dust has gone back to dust, mad with fury I shall return, to smite the poor wretch on the head. So let me go while I'm still young, and the dew is still on the fen, with a silver plane burning bright, like a flashing star in the night. You can continue the rest for yourself. This is from a Ghanaian poet and medical doctor, Amato. Thank you all so much, Kojo. It's been a rather solemn day, but this is our show for this morning, the AM show. I'm Sweetie Abochi.
I'm Samuel Kojo Brace, and condolences to the families and all of you, all of us who have been bereaved in this very tragic incident. And indeed, Ghana, so wherever you are, let's continue mourning and having a prayer for the families and to the president as well, because I guess he will be in a very, very bad shape. Very. So let's remember him and all the families in our prayers. And to all of you who've lost loved ones, may the good Lord console all of you.
May the souls of the faithful departed rest now and abide in the bosom of the Almighty. Bye for now.